So, welcome back. We are going to start the finals of Williams College Winter Lull 2021 shortly. But first, we're joined by a new round of casters. We still have Riot CMAX. And today, we are also joined by King of Conquest and Rich Game Buddy. So, Vincent and Sammy, welcome to the desk.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Glad to
great
be
to
here.
be here.
So, do you guys have any takes on who will take it? Who will take the crown? Will it be SKT or GME?
So I have played both of these teams this tournament. Definitely our game against Mike Muted was quite a bit closer than our games against Shorting Jianlu. So based on that, I would favor Shorting Jianlu. I think these are both very solid teams. They both have multiple ways to play through their teams, like multiple ways of sort of drafting winning team comps. So I think it's definitely interesting to see. I think either team can take it, but I would favor Showing Jianlu.
We got the
Okay.
draft going. Let's get it.
Yeah, so it looks like we have Heckerman Victor ban coming out from Shorting Jianlu, followed by the Anivia ban, and then the requisite Singed ban from Mike's Muted, along with a Leona ban, looking to trim some of the power off of Cherry Boba.
This definitely looks like a Seraphine first pick from the blue side. I think Seraphine or Malzahar first pick right here. Maybe even an Udyr. I think SKT Telecom should really consider Udyr ban. Just because I think it has fantastic matchup against basically every single champion that Zihan plays. But this is very interesting.
As you said, there's the Seraphine first pick, and Nautilus the final ban on the red side.
Let's open the gates, boys and girls. Let's see the Udyr pick. Let's see the Udyr stomp the finals. Let's get it. Open the gates, guys.
Yeah, but can you really condone an Udyr that puts points into their W, Vincent? I know that you yourself have not espoused such a treacherous gameplay.
Yeah, I feel like it's not very, it doesn't do as much damage. Like, when you're trying to tank all of this stuff, man, it's not worth it. I think when you can press E, Q, and then R and kill them in one rotation, why would you ever W?
Yeah, and if you level your W, you might accidentally hit it, and that would be a tragedy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Senna, the first pick, probably going over to Pharaoh. If their games earlier today are any indication, it'll most likely be a farming Senna.
I think one thing that's very interesting is that Monkey Down generally defaults to two champions. One is Seraphine, and the second is Yumi. Both of these champions has been picked or banned away from them in the semifinal. So we're looking at definitely, I think, picking Seraphine first and then following up with a Senna pick. You're really not expecting a Yumi pick right here. So I think default, it probably is going to be Senna Braum, something of that sort, just in the bot lane.
Yeah. The third pick, of course, that Monkey Dong has played throughout this tournament has been the past 3 games, all of which were on Braum.
Yeah.
And there it is.
Yep. Oh, Senna Braum. I think this is a very classic. Like, this is a very, like, when Senna was like pretty good, it was Senna Braum or Senna TK. Those were like the two primary dominant lane.
Yeah.
Oh, and we see the Lucian right here. The Lucian plus the Udyr. I think this is going basically exactly as we expected from blue team. Pretty similar as the semifinal draft here and there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see the
kind
answers.
of like a Chad angle from Eric. He's basically saying like, yeah, I'm gonna take this champ. I'm gonna dominate my lane. I'm gonna win this on my own. Put the team on his back.
Yeah, what kind of support are you thinking of playing with Lucian at this point? Because one angle that you could pinch is Cherry Boba. I don't think Cherry Boba will ever be on Seraphine duty. I think it will be heavy engaged support from Cherry Boba. So,
Yeah,
um,
I'd honestly
which
like to see
champion do you think will
the
good?
Gragas pick come out. Sort of like
Mhm.
the secret, like the secret sauce. You know,
Mhm.
Cherry Boba's like former main champ.
Oh.
It gives you a lot of like 2v2 pressure, gives you
Mhm.
good burst, good engage.
Do we
Yeah.
know if Cherry Boba has been playing Rel at all? Because that is a champion that I think pairs super well with both Lucian and Seraphine.
Yeah. So currently, Tofu is going with the Caston counter pick. I think Caston versus Seraphine is extremely favorable for Caston.
Mhm.
As long as you take TP, you take fleet, and there's basically no way you can lose the lane. And
JS
you,
Bach, known Seraphine one trick, has gone on record stating that the only lane that he really dreads is Caston with Seraphine.
yeah. Oh,
Ooh.
and here comes the Gragas band. This is a very, very good band. I think they're pinching Cherry Boba on away from the engage and roaming support archetype. And what other supports would you play from Cherry Boba around here?
I'm not sure. I mean, I know that he's played things like Morgana, for instance. So
Morgana
maybe,
Lucian is probably not something that Eric wants to play.
yeah, Lucian or Eric in general has been very vocal about how much he hates playing with Morgana, and Morgana is banned anyway. So 4 bans targeted at Cherry Boba, only the Singed ban
Mhm.
going to someone else, really
Yeah.
drawing a lot of the draft pressure.
Yeah. I think this is probably an Ora angle from top side with a Kled counter pick from SKT.
Or you know, Cho'Gath's open. You know, it's been working pretty well.
Cho'Gath good into Ornn.
Yeah. I think or the other play here, I think one of the members in Twitch chat, does Cherry Boba play Seraphine? You can go Lucian Seraphine and then pick like a Malzahar mid or some sort of AD mid if Coleman plays any sort of that.
I don't think that Cherry Boba is going to be taking the Seraphine. I think they've had
Mhm.
Coleman on like Seraphine and Malzahar pretty much the
Mhm.
entire time, and I don't think they're going to
Okay.
deviate from that at all. Looks like the Ornn is being taken away, picked up by Red Side, or at least the hover.
Okay, I really, really enjoy this pick. I think this might be this is pretty good. Also, one thing that Eric Johnson loves to do against Cassidy whenever he picks Lucian is you could consider a Seraphine bot angle with Lucian mid. I think that could also be something that could happen on the blue side.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to see that swap come out from the blue team. I think
Yeah.
that would be really potent and would totally flip the lanes on their head.
Mhm. And we're saving jungle for the last pick, which I think is going to be very interesting. I think Or is not as strong of a power pick as you might think it is. Oh, here comes the Alistair. The Alistair Lucian lane. I feel like by picking Alistair, you're indicating that there's probably no way it will be a Seraphine Alistair lane bot lane. Or is
I
there?
guess technically it's a possibility, but I'd be very surprised if they actually, because it's not just a champ swap, it's a player swap. So
Yeah.
they'd have basically uh Cole in the bot lane. Like I doubt he's been like laning with Cherry Boba that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think this game they're just testing the water so far. I
Yeah,
think
but
the
also
player
like
that's probably gonna be tested here is the Seraphine mid against the Caston and also Cherry Boba getting 4 support bans, picking the Alistair against Senna Braum.
yeah, but I mean I already see some sort of kind of like difficulties with joining Jian Lu, like because they picked the solution bot and like Lucian like really needs to uh get an early game lead, but Senna Brahm's pretty safe, and Alistar's not exactly the strongest, you know, early game support unless you're like really hitting those like flash cues,
Yeah.
kind of like smurfing on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, leaving the top lane pick for last. Let's see what it is that JP Morgan picks up for the top lane champion.
I kind of like Mordekaiser here. I think if that were possible, they would pick the Mordekaiser right here.
Looks like it was a Cho'Gath picked into
It's
the
a
Ultra.
Cho'Gath. Okay, JP Morgan and respecting Green Epic right here. Picking a almost
I
50-50 matchup,
I
I would say.
love this Kane pick.
Yeah. Kane is fantastic here. It's absolutely. I think Kane is, if play well, can definitely match the pace of Udyr by the time he hits his form. And basically, if you're looking at the lane, like basically Alistair, Cho'Gath, and Udyr has to physically run into a Red King. And Red King W and Q and R is just, there's just so much kiting potential from Kassadin, Braum, Ornn, and Kane. It's how do you even get to the backline here?
Yeah, Red Kane offers so much disruption, so much percentage HP damage, and it's just so difficult to pin down that I definitely am gonna have eyes on Twice here to be putting through a good Kane performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at
And
the same
also,
time, like I think we can all agree that the red team definitely scales better. Like they pretty much just picked a full scaling comp. Like they're gonna be waiting for Casting to get levels, gonna wait for Kane to get his form, Warren to get levels, Sen to get her souls. So they definitely have a lot of scaling and a really kind of easy to execute team comp. But at the same time, like the sort of like lever that Shuang Jianlu has is the Udyr and Kane matchup, where Udyr is a far stronger early game jungler. Like he can really bully this Kane if he gets like these pushing lanes in and is able to invade. So it still gives them quite a bit of room to, sort of figure out how to win.
yeah, definitely. If you're looking at the mid lane, Kane Kassadin is kind of a joke compared to Seraphine and Udyr. I think overall the top lane should go even. Bot lane should be not very, very volatile. So I think mid lane, it only snowballs in one direction. That's the Kassadin direction. I think the Udyr really has to outpace the Kane here in the early game. And basically, I think once you get to late game, I think blue team starts to lack damage to kill the Ornn and to kill the red Kane. And also, with all the projectile that's blocking from Braum, it seems very difficult to get to the backline here.
Yeah, they really need to find an early game advantage and make sure that they don't fumble at any point. One team fight going awry, giving a shutdown over to a Caston or over to a Kane, and the game, even if the blue team gets out to an early lead, the game could at any time swing back to the red side. So definitely a scaling advantage, but the agency for the early game over to Shorty Jian though.
Yeah.
All right, question from the chat: can Udyr do gates if they can't team fight? So typically we're seeing, the standard Udyr build now is to go full tank, and that's what we've seen. That's what we've seen throughout this tournament. And when you do that build, you like really can't really do the gates.
Yeah.
It's you don't have the damage on your autos really, and you don't have attack speed because you're not leveling up Tiger form.
Yep. I think honestly, as a Udyr no W player myself, I think if I'm the Udyr player, I'm never putting up points in my W this game. I'm splitting the whole entire game. Cho'Gath is gonna just flash over the wall and get some objectives while I'm top lane just going away.
Yeah, and I've said this before when I watched you play no W Udyr, but I think you're absolutely insane. So we'll see if the actual Udyr build is able to do enough to keep shorting Jianlu in the early game here.
Yep.
All right, now we're getting into the draft, and we have 3 minutes to fill before we actually get into game here. We can see the players picking the champions that they've already decided on.
Yeah.
All right, for you guys, who's your player to watch? Which player's performance on each team do you think is going to be the most indicative of their team's overall performance?
I think SK Telecom T1 on definitely on the red side. I think the cast-in player in a losing jungle matchup will really have to losing mid jungle matchup, we really have to kind of find a way to make it to the mid game, make it to the late game. And hopefully once they're there, I think red team is off and good to go, I think.
Yeah, the way I'm sort of looking at it is mid lane should be sort of, unexciting. Nothing really happens. I think both of these champs really just want to farm up. Now there's a lot of pressure on shorting Jian. Like Lucian really needs to make stuff happen early, and Udyr needs to make stuff happen early. But also, I'm looking at the top lane matchup. Like even though it's a tank v tank matchup, there's sort of a lot of I put a lot of pressure on JP Morgan on the Cho'Gath to really, not necessarily win, but like really kind of ease the job of Udyr, like making sure you get good vision into the jungle, making sure you're quick on rotations to help him out. There's like a lot of there's sort of a lot that he can do to help sort of get this early game lead that they need.
Yeah, I think this is I think there are definitely both sides. I think blue side is definitely a little bit heavier on the early game, red side is a little bit heavier on the late game. But overall, I think this is a great game to watch. And also, one thing we do know from Moders the Flame is that they have not dropped the game this tournament, which means they generally get leads and they keep them. And so that's something quite exciting to watch. So how are we feeling for the rest of the tournament? Basically, we're in the finals. We have watched a bunch of different games. How's the cast feeling about the previous semifinals? Any takeaways? Any exciting news?
Well, I only saw the half of the semifinals that I was casting, but
Mhm.
I thought that they were some really good games, especially the second and third games of the series. The middle game had a lot of back and forth, ended up being like a huge comeback, and the third game was really close until it wasn't. And so I'm super excited to see how this last series is going to pan out because it's been a day of great games so far.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely
kind of want
agree
to
with
put
you.
the spotlight on, some of the maybe some of the more less notable players going in, like sort of the players taken later in the draft. Like looking at the last semifinal we just watched, like Monkey Dong and Green Epic. These are players that are really put in some good work. Like this Braum, he had some really good plays early to sort of open up some kills for their team, and then Green Epic really farming up a storm, getting really strong pretty much every game. So like both of these teams, I think they have really like 5 really solid players that are all putting their work to help the team.
Yeah.
I think Monkey Dong has been punching way above his weight in terms of what people honestly had as expectation, and that's been really key for Team Mike's Muted to
Yeah.
get here to the
Yeah,
finals.
I think
I highly agree. I think Monkey Dong is doing great. But before we continue discussing his stellar performance, I just have a really quick message from our title sponsor, Droppod. Droppod is a Williams alumni founded social media and gaming startup centered around making it easier to connect with friends to play online multiplayer games. One part gaming community and one part social media app, Droppod just launched and is in open beta. Droppod hopes that the Williams Network will be a major part of its community, so please go check them out in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. And we just want to run a quick ad for you guys, and we'll be back to the scheduled content.
dude, I had a fire. Hey, it looks.
Hopping into this game, tell me, do you guys expect to see anything level 1 here?
One
Uh,
thing I love to do as Kane is just like group S5, run into their jungle. Hopefully, you get 1 or 2 hit off, get some red orb, blue orb, whatever you want. Sometimes it works, especially if they're 5 pointing. You can get like one person low and maybe get some extra orbs here and there, but this is not solo queue.
Inting for form, perhaps not the way to start the finals, but something to consider.
yeah, so we're seeing pretty standard 5-point, although something to point out is that the Lucian's actually in the mid lane. Now we'll see if this is an actual swap or if it's just posturing for the level 1.
Yeah. Oh, this is an electrocute teleport cast then. And Lucian did take ignite for your information. So
Oh,
this
yeah,
is
I think
definitely
that-
looking like a swap.
I think this is a swap.
Yeah, so this is kind of flips the game on its head because now there's way more opportunities for Lucian to sort of abuse his lane opponent, and there shouldn't really be endangered bot lane. Like there shouldn't be much pressure from the Senna, Braum into Seraphine Alistar.
Yeah, I think if I were the red team, I would call for a swap with the top lane. I think Ornn to Lucian or Senna into Lucian is a lot easier.
And you can see that here in the level 1, Lucian already trying to zone Kassadin away from the minions, possibly even away from the XP.
Yeah, and I'm gonna guess that Kassadin probably took MR runes. So that
Yes,
could
he
put
did.
him in
He
even.
did 38. Yep,
Yeah,
38
so
MRL.
he is at a huge disadvantage in this matchup, even more than normal.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really rough for the Castellan player. But I think overall, it's like as long as Castellan can make it to Seekers, this matchup gets easier this season, just because of how cheap Seeker is and how strong it is. And considering that Lucian did not take teleport, one thing you can do is you can give up all these early CS. Lucian takes a tower shot right there, and maybe hope for some jungle ganks.
Yeah, but also your jungler's Kane, still not exactly the terrifying combo the casting Kane. Not much CC, and also not a ton of damage.
Yeah, definitely. But
Yeah,
one
we
thing
also-
to note is that Kane is clearing at about the same speed that Udyr is clearing. So Kane and Udyr have two of the fastest clear, but they both are probably meeting towards the top side scuttle. And if I were Kane, I would just finish the camp recall and go bot. Definitely do not want to front.
No possible way that the King gets this topside scuttle.
Yeah, he has absolutely zero mid prio. He should know that Udyr's around there. If he goes to check, it's like definitely better just to recall, catch your respawning Grom.
Oh, Kane wandering into the river, looking for a play onto the Cho'Gath. Actually, the Udyr has left and gone bot lane, but Udyr turning around.
Super good.
Udyr's going to be able to get here. Cho'Gath flashes to his jungler, and
they keep chasing. This could be a turn, although they are just running away.
Nope, they say we've got the flash, and that's good enough.
Yep.
Kane backs off.
Yeah. And right now, Udyr is going to be the first to the bot side scuttle. So, Kane definitely did cost Kane the blue scuttle or the bot side scuttle for making that gank.
Yeah, although given that Udyr was already pathing towards mid, that bot scuttle is probably already gone.
Yeah.
So overall, like I'm happy if I'm red team. Like you got the flash off Cho'Gath. Probably not the biggest deal. Orange shouldn't really have much kill pressure, but they do somewhat slow down the game, which is to their benefit.
Yeah, one thing to note is that Coleman
Look at
is
Udyr
actually...
invading onto the Kane, trying to push him off the Gromp.
Yeah.
Yep, and let's see if there are smites up for the junglers. Udyr
that feels really bad for the K.
And now also heads over to the Wolves.
Yeah,
Kassadin getting pushed off of his inner turret, and now you're really, really sad if you're the Kane, desperately trying to make a play onto this Alistar Seraphine, but they're just going to be able to walk away.
If I'm the Udyr, I'm walking through the mid lane tower to his raid.
Yeah, I think Ben can tell us about that sort of jungle pathing.
let's not bring up any past traumas now. But yeah, totally getting routed out of his own jungle by the Udyr.
Yeah.
Twice. Really, really sad about how that exchange
Yeah.
panned out.
I think this all stemmed from the first gank top lane. I think the opportunity cost for making that gank is a little bit too high. And definitely set King very, very far behind.
I don't know. I think Udyr just kind of won a 50-50 on the smite there.
Well, not exactly 50. He did have level advantage, so he did have that
I think
advantage.
he leveled off the smite, so it was
Yeah.
even when he cast it.
Yeah. Also, another thing to note is that I feel like Kane and Udyr both didn't clear it as optimally as possible. So for
but action in
Udyr,
the bot lane, a short trade, but both supports end up disengaging and no one's committing.
yeah, I think there's gonna be very very low amount of kill pressure with Seraphine and Alistair. As to the points that I was previously making, I feel like both Kane and Udyr are
Wait,
if
but
they're
here's another gank going in top lane. He knows that the Cho'Gath doesn't have the flash. Ornn doesn't look like he really wants it. Walks back a little bit, but now committing to the play a bit late, and Cho'Gath is able to just walk away. But some orbs picked up for Kane, slowly working towards that form.
Yeah.
Back to what you're saying about jungle efficiency.
I think Udyr should hit Scuttle at given if he's clearing both blue buff and Gromp, he should hit Scuttle about 309. And for Kane, I think definitely you full clear the rest of your jungle around 315 and immediately recalls and go to the bot Scuttles. I think there were precious seconds lost in the jungle clear.
We can see the effect of the mid priority and the bot lane priority, allowing Udyr to once again waltz into Kane's bot side jungle and take whatever he pleases. Yeah. And this Kassadin just looks absolutely miserable.
Kassadin, please ask for a lane swap. Oh my god. There is no reason
goes
you should
over
be
the
in this
Lucian.
lane.
Taking two turret shots for free, like it doesn't even matter because it does not matter.
Yeah, absolutely just destroying, outclassing his lane opponent here. Captain v Captain in the mid lane.
Yeah, although
there's a Lance, Alistar combos in Seraphine ult to follow up an exhaust onto the Alistar. Let's see if they can take down the Senna, force the flash out, get the exhaust onto the Senna. Udyr here for the tower dive. Flash bear slaps onto the Senna, but she barely walks away. Alistar flashes to finish it off. Now a combo onto Braum, who flashes back under his turret, but he doesn't have anywhere to go, and Udyr is just going to continue the dive. Nope, looks like he's scared by the possible Kassadin roam. And a 1-for-0 on that tower dive being traded back on the top side of the map. And we're hopping back into a replay of how Cho'Gath fell top lane. Looks like a clean Ornn ult into a Kayn ult, and just getting picked off going down into the river looking for a ward, it seems.
Yeah, so some really, I mean, I'm not sure if the game will continue blowing up like this, but a lot of action breaking out. Really cleanly executed dive for blue team. They really juggled the turret aggro really nicely, so that no one would die from it, and getting the kill and all the sums from bot lane.
Still don't know why Tofu is in this lane. This is you gotta call your team to do something. I think just sitting under tower for the whole entire game while this Udyr and this Lucian is getting mid prio and Udyr is running in your jungle. It's definitely not the right play here. And from my knowledge, Pharaoh is a mid laner originally, so he should know how to play the lane very well.
Are you suggesting that they swap Senna mid?
Yeah, they either swap Senna mid or swap Green Epic mid. I think either one is okay.
Cho'Gath starting up the Rift Herald solo, taking advantage of the reset from Ornn. Looks like it's just going to be a free pickup.
Yeah. This looks like there is probably going to be quite a bit of lull in this game for now. I think they're just trying to play very defensive, both mid lane and also the jungle. They're both extremely far behind.
Udyr going in for the gank bot lane, gets right on top of the Senna. Now Alistar coming down, collapsing on the other side. A huge pulverize hits all 3 members of red team into a Seraphine ult to follow up. And now trapped in a 4v2, it's going to be an absolute stomp. Blue team picking up 3 members for free. Not a single casualty on their side.
Yeah, so now we're looking like, you know, as blue team, this is sort of the position, exact position they want to be at, where they are now 4k gold ahead, but even before that fight, they were almost 3k gold ahead. So they're pretty much free to take any fight. Like, they don't even have to look for these fights, because they can probably just slowly take these dragons, get soul, and be happy with that. But, you know, they'll take these fights, and they'll continue growing their gold lead. So now it's just, you know, they're in the position they want. It's just a matter of seeing if they can snowball this into, you know, a bigger gold lead to make up for the scaling disadvantage.
This definitely looks like it's going to be a rough game for the red team. But I think if they ever give away the shutdown on Udyr or on the Alistar, away to Kassadin or away to Kayn or Senna, this game is definitely comebackable. I think without a doubt. I think Kayn has not looked for a lot of plays around mid lane or, oh my god, Kassadin is going in.
Man. Instantly popping the ignite, Lucian trading back onto the Kayn, saying, no, you cannot ult towards me. Kassadin being forced back to base while the Herald goes crashing through the mid lane. Second charge going to be going off of the Herald, and it looks like they want to take the mid lane turret as well. A Rupture lands onto the Kayn, but they can't quite complete that dive there. Lucian auto-attacking the turret, and it's going to fall without much of a worry.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is actually pretty huge for blue team. Both mid turrets are down, so it gives them a ton of room to be able to put these deep wards into the red team jungle. And that'll make it even harder for this Kayn to even farm. It gives Udyr a lot of you know, space to look for dives or just, you know, bully this Kayn even more.
Yeah. And if you look at the Kassadin, like, how does the Kassadin even farm without 2 towers?
Yeah, 3,000 gold down. Lucian almost doubling the gold of the Kassadin.
Yeah.
Absolutely an absurd advantage.
I guess Lucian is just playing rings around the rosies with that wall right there. He walked around and just sitting on a pink wall right here.
Some skill shots being traded back and forth, but not much happening. Both teams posturing around this dragon, which is going to be coming up fairly soon, trying to get the vision. But I don't really see a world where red team is able to contest this. They still don't have a completed item on any of their carries, and Kayn, still formless, is trying to eke out those orbs.
Yeah. I think one thing as Kayn, the one advantage you have early game compared to Udyr is that you are a much more mobile in the jungle compared to the Udyr. So you can hop over a wall and go for those invades and maybe go for like a smite steal at Udyr's blue, because those plays are basically free because there's no way Udyr can chase you down through Kayn's Q or Kayn's E. So
I wouldn't say that those plays are basically free. There's definitely a large cost to not farming and going for those plays if you don't hit the smite.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, it's also hard to, you know, kind of take that aggressive pathing when you're...
When all of your lanes are losing and the Lucian can collapse on you at any time.
Yeah. I think this game you definitely have to look in the mid lane for... Definitely, jungle has to give some help to the Kassadin. I think Lucian was just up in the tower constantly. And I understand that Kayn does not want blue form, but I think Kassadin being this far behind is going to be pretty tough.
You have to hit the Kassadin, or you have to hit the Lucian there. Like, the weakness of mid lane Lucian is the fact that he's very susceptible to ganks.
Okay,
and there he is, getting shut down twice, picking up Madre the Flame.
Okay, here comes the Kassadin.
He has the TP. Cho'Gath flashes away. Alistar now has joined the fray. It looks to be a 2v2 if they want to take it, but they're backing off. Not sure if the Kayn is still lurking around.
Yeah. Oh, Kayn should definitely go for this chunk on the Seraphine here.
Yeah, I think Kayn has used his E running through the jungle, so not able to make it over that wall. But you're right. Kayn needs to be looking for these really aggressive plays just to build up orbs. Even if they're blue orbs, he really needs to hit that form soon.
Yeah. If Kayn does not get his form before 18 minutes, it's going to be a very, very difficult game.
Oh, and Alistar
Oh.
sees the Kayn and an immediate flash away. Probably not necessary. I honestly think it would have been better if the Kayn just started hitting Alistar to pick up some of those orbs. Another flash being forced out. This Alistar just taking everyone's summoners like it's a buffet.
Listen, although I have to defend my boy Jian here, because I've also, I was in this position earlier today where I was getting invaded by Udyr the entire game, having pretty much zero vision around everywhere, and it's terrifying because you see the Alistar there, like you don't know what's behind him. So if he goes for a combo, there could just be a bear slap falling right after. So it's a hard judgment to make.
Starting up the Herald, TP comes in from the Cho'Gath to help secure it. And it looks like even though Kayn has hit his form now, they're not going to go for this contest. Udyr actually peels off of the Herald, leaves it for the Cho'Gath to eat. And Cho'Gath doesn't eat it.
Cho'Gath doesn't have to.
On CD. But looking now to use this Herald and bring even more of the map under their control. Oh, and there's the Alistar making the play onto Kayn, but Udyr had just started channeling the Herald, so no follow-up.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely looking like a play.
Turret is gone, and they're immediately in onto the Ornn. 3v2, but Kayn doesn't look like he wants to help much. A W misses, and the CC is just chaining this Ornn all the way into the ground. Lucian makes a play onto the Kassadin, can only ult so many times, being forced out of lane. That huge gold difference mid lane really shining through. Let's see if they're able to keep this Herald alive for a third charge. And oh my god, the Brute catches twice. Herald charges in, and they went from an outer turret to an inhibitor with this one Herald. They get a fourth charge off. Absolutely insane Herald value.
They get a fifth charge off. Let's see it.
There's no way. No, it dies to like a stiff breeze at this point.
Yeah, although I do have to say, inhibitor 18 minutes, honestly, not bad for red team. This because this actually gives your Kassadin a sort of safe lane to farm in, like those supers will push in.
I would normally agree that the early inhibitor is bad if the blue team would not be able to capitalize it on the other side of the map, but they're so far ahead that I think that having the pushing lane is going to let them smash through the bottom half of the map now. So I would be really concerned to see that inhibitor go down at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we'll see the next dragon go to blue team, although it would have happened anyway. We'll see. They'll probably get that by inner turret pretty easily. I guess it's a matter of if that pressure can open up that, any further inhibs, or if it just leads to a 20-minute Baron. Like, if they get the Baron as it spawns in 20 minutes, yeah, it's definitely worth it. But if there's any delay on that, then, slightly happy if I'm red team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 8,000 gold is the difference here. 7,500. A huge advantage for team shorting Jian.
I think one thing we do have to note is that how impressive Coleman has played this whole entire tournament, and also especially this game. Completely new role, basically getting forced into playing bot lane and giving his mid laner a much, much, much better matchup. Lucian against Kassadin, this is a much better matchup, and also coming ahead in CS in his own right.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely very impressive from Coleman. Now, Kassadin is just at his inhibitor tower, just kind of.
Yeah, and here you can see that the blue team is able to take advantage of this numbers lead and just easily dive the Ornn, force him to flash away, burn the ultimate, and take their numbers lead and get a free pick.
Honestly, this
Hopefully,
could be
a
good.
great
This could be
Seraphine
good.
ultimate. It looks like red team is choosing this as their moment. See if they can pick off the Alistar, but the ultimate makes him way too tanky. Kane dives in,
Kane's
gets
doing
knocked
a
up, exhausted.
fantastic
Cassidy
job.
goes for the backline, isn't able to finish off the anyone, and just dies on the return play.
Yeah.
It was looking like it might have been the moment for red team, but they're way too far behind at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been happy for them if they sort of they defended the turret successfully for that wave and they got some out of the fight. So
Pharaoh getting hit by a knockup. Udyr not deciding to chase that one down. As you're saying?
yeah, so just a little it was almost really good. They could have walked away from the fight with everyone alive and been satisfied. But it went just slightly
looks
too
like there
aggressive.
might be
on the
another
chase.
play to be made here. A root lands onto Cherry Boba, but the root back from Seraphine calls that one off.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a very tough game. I feel like that Caston Flash R was just not very good. I think Caston has to be basically using his E to slow them and just use Kane.
That was desperation, right? That was Cassidy, SK Telecom T1 recognizing that this was the moment. It was now or never. He wasn't going to get a better chance and just trying to seize that opportunity. Of course, at this point, his team is a bit too far behind. And honestly, I think we should be looking and thinking about the next game. Like, what do you hope to see change from both of these teams?
Definitely a Lucian pick instead of a Senna pick. First round. I think Pharaoh is much better on Lucian than he is on Senna. And I think the Cassidon pick, honestly, is fine, but you just have to give him some early jungle pressure. And honestly, I think going away from the Leona and Lawless ban from Cherry Boba, because I think Cherry Boba, on engaged supports, he can play them all. So I think banning Cherry Boba is definitely not the play here.
We saw 4 bans targeted at Cherry Boba, but now here he is, 204 on the Alistar, filling that engaged role anyway.
Yeah, and I think the red team is definitely picking blue side next game, trying to get first Seraphine first pick, and Seraphine Lucian, something of that sort, Seraphine Senna, and hopefully that plays pretty well in the bot lane.
Easy Baron pickup. And let's see how cleanly the blue team is going to be able to roll this one into a victory.
Yeah. One thing we haven't touched on too much is this top lane matchup. Green Epic versus JP Morgan. So we do have a Cho'Gath right here, and we also have an Ornn right here. It felt like this game was not really centered around them, which I find it to be relatively disappointing. I felt like Green Epic, should have been maybe on the carry, maybe on Ilaoi, or maybe even on Darius in the first round.
In the first round.
Yeah. I think you just ban two top laners and basically do your best.
Ornn
with the top
misses. No engagement found for the red team. Udyr split pushing, so the 4-man group for blue side pressuring the 5-man group from red team all on their own. And let's see if they're able to make some miracle play happen.
I think in terms of overall player strength this game, I think you definitely did not get to see basically a very even mid lane matchup just because how skewed that matchup was. And I think given that Ornn and Caston had TP, I think an earlier lane swap with those TP definitely would have helped. Like, I think Cho'Gath versus Caston is just, you just farm. Like, Cho'Gath has literally no kill pressure on Caston. Yeah, I think definitely taking the TP and not using it properly. And I think there is going to be some discussion next game about what to do. Basically blinding a Caston and picking Caston actually into Lucian Seraphine. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, just kind of like, basically Draft Kingdom from shorting Jianlu. They've been pulling out the Seraphine mid pick a lot. So they've, just really, the classic bait and switch. They made it look like they're picking Seraphine mid, and they got the Cassidy pick out, and they just swapped the Lucian in.
And also, this game you have a Victor open. I feel like isn't
Victor? I believe
Victor was banned,
was banned.
Right? Victor was banned. Victor and Nivea was banned. Okay. Yeah, I think then the best champion for SK Telecom T1 is probably the Cassidy.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, obviously it's difficult to be cognizant of all the different possibilities in draft. Drafting is really hard, but when you're thinking about picking the Cassidy, knowing that the enemy has a very strong Lucian player should put this risk at the forefront of your mind. And now here we see the blue team trying to just run it down mid, make the engage happen. Braum falls first. Seraphine ult hits Kayn and Senna. Ornn is down next. Lucian free firing, getting the triple kill, trying to get the quadra, picks it up. Can he get the penta? Never mind, not the quadra, but the quadra found on Kayn.
He gets the quadra, and that goes to a surrender vote from SKT. This is definitely looking like this season's SK Telecom so far.
Yep, and I think an easy game MVP over to Madre the Flame.
Yeah, definitely. Whoever's doing their draft.
Oh, I think the MVP
fantastic.
goes to whoever called the swap. May have been Eric, likely Eric, but
I think that besides just making the swap, when you look at how he played the lane and the amount of pressure he was able to exert in that matchup, it was still like how he played the champion rather than
he definitely played it exactly how they needed to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got him right now. So can you pull up a picture of him? Paul?
All right, and now in between games 1 and 2 of the finals, we're gonna have a quick interview from our sponsor, the president of Williams startup Droppod. Hello, welcome.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Welcome to the cast. It's going good.
How's it going, Pete?
Awesome. It's been really a new experience. I've been loving watching this. It brings me back to my old days playing Dota and Warcraft 3 long ago.
Glad to hear it. Do you have a message for any of our viewers right now?
Oh yeah, you bet. So Droppod, we've just been super stoked to partner with Williams College Lowell. We wanted to thank all the organizers. You guys have been fantastic. All the players have been absolutely phenomenal. It's like unbelievable amounts of skill and very entertaining. Everything. Just the amount of polish on this whole event has been fantastic. And just you've heard it a million times. I won't belabor the Droppod ad again, but we're a Williams startup. My co-founder Alex and I, we met at Williams. We were big video game players there. Nothing like Winter Lull existed at the time, but it would have been pretty sweet if it did. And yeah, thanks again. This has been an amazing experience.
Thanks for the kind words. We definitely appreciate it. I mean, now we have to ask you a few questions. We heard that you're a StarCraft 2 player. So
yeah.
I mean, we're all wondering, what race do you play? You won't be judged on this answer, as long as it's correct.
Player might be a generous term. I have never been good at StarCraft 2. I've enjoyed it very much, but you
Mhm.
know, I always fancy myself a Zerg player, just
Oof, nice.
from StarCraft 1 on. You know, I've always liked the Zerg, and it's really just it's just a fun race to play with.
All right. Well, I absolutely have to say that that is the correct answer. I give you my respect as a fellow Zerg player.
All
Um,
right.
but yeah, do you have? So you've been watching. Do you have any audience predictions for how the rest of the series might turn out? Obviously, the first game was a little bit one-sided. Do you think that SKT can turn it around?
So I've been trying to figure out which team is Eric Johnson on.
Eric Johnson is on Team Shorting Jianlu, GM3, the team
Okay,
that just won the last game.
so Eric Johnson actually, if it's the same Eric Johnson that I know at Williams, was in the same a cappella group that I was when I was at Williams. So I'm gonna
Oh, so
have to go
are
with.
you an Octet member, an
Oh
Octet
yes,
alum?
sir. Yes, sir.
A plug
Yes,
for
sir.
our college a cappella group here. Small world.
Yeah, I literally, so I've been watching the cast since yesterday, and this was just the first time I happened to hear his name, and I was like, no way, is that the same Eric? So yeah, I'm gonna go with Eric's team.
Oh yeah. All right. So supporting the winners of that last game,
Yeah,
a safe bet for sure.
I mean it was a decisive win too. You know,
Absolutely, very decisive.
you like to see it a little closer, and I don't know a whole lot about what's going on, but it seemed decisive.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for taking the time to speak with us, talk about your shared Williams College experience. Do you have any closing words before we start to head into the second game?
Go Eric and former red team. Give him hell. Give him hell. Eric is a beast. So you're gonna have to put your whole heart into it.
All right. Thank you, Pete.
All right. Thanks, guys. Good luck, everyone.
All right. And now I think we're going to be looking to head into the second game. Um,
Um,
so for the people currently on the cast, we have a bit of a break right now before we get into the next pick and ban. Um, what are some predictions? Like what is the way that SK Telecom's team can possibly turn this around? Do we have anyone else with me?
yeah, I'm here. I'm here. So I think the thing with this whole entire draft sequence, I think Senna is definitely not the right play. I think Lucian, you saw Pharaoh just pop off on the Lucian. You have to pick Lucian for him. And you just saw Eric Johnson pop off on the Lucian, so you definitely have to pick Lucian away from him. So, and I think Lucian Braum, I think they played it pretty well. So maybe even a Lucian first pick could be the right move here. And also, can we mention like Ducky on Udyr? Someone please get him off of this champ. That's the only champ he's played the whole entire playoff. So definitely probably bring out the best pick and get him off this Udyr champ. Have him do something else other than just full clear and invade and just outpace you. So those are my two recommendations. Instead of those Leona and Nahus ban, let's ban something else. Let's see if we can exploit him.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we want to see Eric pushed off the Lucian, Ducky pushed off of the Udyr, and yeah. Does anyone else
Well,
have
I'm
any
here.
predictions? All right, Ben Boy, hit us with your take.
My take is I don't know what you're expecting if you're picking a top laner that doesn't do anything for 20 minutes, a mid laner that doesn't do anything for 20 minutes. a bot laner that doesn't do anything for 20 minutes, and then last pick a jungler that needs a winning lane to actually like do anything on the map, and then hope to win the game. So I
Well,
think
I mean,
maybe that's what we should look at.
I think what they're looking for is 20 minutes.
Oh,
It's
true.
quite clear.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
think it's necessarily the problem. Like in their minds, like they picked fine lanes. Like they thought they had the cast into the
Tranquil
Seraphine
Turtle
matchup.
played nothing
No.
but ADC's mid for an entire tournament.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm just saying like their thought process behind like scaling was fine because they thought they were wrong in what the actual matchups were, but if they were correct in what the matchups they got, then their comp's fine. It's merely like they sort of got mind gamed into getting like that hard losing mid.
But then Tofu was also mind controlled into taking MR runes when it's like a really easy swap between a
Yeah,
Lucian and a
well, I
Seraphine.
think they definitely knew that Eric could play the Lucian mid. I think they were dubious that they would send Cole bot, especially after showing the Alistar, because Seraphine Alistar doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense on paper.
Yeah.
So it's
I think that
understandable
makes
how they
completely
got
fine.
like juked there.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think
obviously it's fine, but
I
I
think
think
Senna Braum is just such a weak lane to take advantage of, like, honestly, Seraphine Alistair, which is also an equally weak lane. And
Mhm.
also, can we highlight once again the fact that Cassidy had teleport and Lucian had ignite. The swapping between lanes would have been very, very easily on any of the bases. I think you have to basically swap around either top lane or the Senna. I think both are okay. Basically, give Cassidy some room to scale.
Mhm.
Mhm. And I think the bigger issue is not Cassidy not scaling, is that the mid tower went down so quickly, both the first mid tower and the secondary mid tower. And once you lose those inner two towers, you really do not have the jungle controlled, or you do not have any defensive way to control the jungle. So Alistair roams and Udyr had an extremely winning jungle matchup. And this is just, well, you see, this is the result of it.
Mhm.
I mean I agree it's like not inherently an issue if like Caston has a bad lane matchup, but the thing is every lane was getting constantly shoved in. So you have no way of getting actual map control. So you have to concede every crab and you have to concede the rift scuttle, which easily lets you secure like the mid tower. And we saw it just kept going from there.
Yeah, but besides just the champion choices, you really have to look at the execution in game. I've seen plenty of Lucian mids go up into the Kassadin matchup feeling really overconfident and then get smacked down. But here, Eric was able to play extremely far up, pushing the Kassadin back like off of his outer turret and executed extremely well. Was able to get the solo kill under the turret and absolutely balloon a massive minion lead without faltering or without fumbling
Yeah.
that advantage. So kudos to him on that.
Yeah, completely agree. So I think you have to play a strong ganking jungler to get Caston through the early game and kind of just snowball him. I think if you're looking at maybe like I used to be a Caston one trick 2 seasons ago, and my duo partner used to only play J4. And basically it was J4 Caston, and if anytime we ran into a Lucian, we just level 2 him, level 4, level 5, level 6. And Lucian just most Lucian players don't know how to handle that kind of constant pressure. And I'm pretty sure, seeing from how Eric Johnson just flashed under tower, took 2 tower shots, and still got in the way, I think this is definitely not the mid jungle synergy we're looking at for SK Telecom.
True. I think there were a decent amount of junglers that could have punished the times where Tranquil Turtle just starts tanking tower shots for not very much reason. But I think there's also the matter of Zihan probably wanted to avoid getting blue orbs a lot this game, which is why he was ganking top lane all the time.
Yeah. I think an easier swap, like I think once your team is that far behind, you just go whatever form you get. At that point, I think you just have to be strong enough where you can maybe take some fights, maybe get some picks. because eventually you will get bleed out of all of the objectives. So I think those maybe like 5 extra minutes of like Blue King versus Red King, I think it makes more sense for him to try to play to get his team to the late game. Because even if he were Blue King that game, even if he got the form later, the game is just unplayable. The game is just over from there.
Yeah, and he didn't exactly get Red Cane at record pace either.
Yeah, it's an 18-minute form. I think Kane is a very tricky champion. You're looking to fight a lot in the early game. You're looking to farm a lot. Basically, farm first, and then form second, and then also kill last. I think those are the order that you're prioritizing Kane, and you gotta look for those early skirmishes. Hopefully, you can just go in, dip out, and just keep farming.
Yeah. So, if you were Tofu's team, how would you approach the first 3 bans?
I think the first 3 bans, I think definitely leave the Leona, leave the Nahles up. I think you're looking, Tofu most likely will be picking blue side for the next game. So probably looking at Seraphine or Lucian first pick. And I think for Eric's team, I think they're in a pretty good spot. I think if I were Tofu, I ban out the Udyr, get Ducky off of his comfort pick for the playoff for today. And so maybe ban out the Singe, and then also definitely try to draft Ilaoi or Darius or Kled, and put the top lane into a bruiser versus tank matchup and try to snowball the top lane. I think I think Cho'Gath is not Green Epic's best champion. I think Green Epic is much better on bruiser that can snowball the game. And I think as a jungler, you have to have some strong lane to play with. And 3 losing lane is basically a nightmare for losing jungle matchup.
Yeah. Vincent, so if they ban Udyr, Ducky didn't play Udyr basically at all the entire, all of yesterday.
Yeah.
But you were in his group, so what are his other options?
So I think he plays a lot of Echo. He plays a lot of Graves. Both of those champions are a lot more opportunistic than Udyr. So Udyr can just reliably outfarm almost any jungler. And Graves and Echo requires you to look for picks and requires you to basically play around your lane a little bit more. And so the game revolves around the laners rather than basically this Udyr kind of outpacing the enemy jungler. And honestly, I think we're looking at a very, very difficult matchup for Mike Muted SKT.
Benjis, do you agree with that, or do you have any other thoughts?
No, I agree. I think it's going to be really difficult for Mike Muted to get the victory. But if they change up the draft, hopefully we can see a less one-sided game.
Okay. We have some people in this chat suggesting that they let Singe through. How do you guys feel about that?
Absolutely do not do that.
Yeah, I think Jian plays about like at least a tier above his rank when he's on Singe. I think on the Orange duty and on the Silent duty, he's been popping off with his TP and with his laning, but I think none of the matchups has been very, very decisively one-sided. So I think definitely we want to see some snowball-y top laner. I think if the bot lane plays Senna Braum, something that's attempts to completely neutralize their bot laner, then well, you gotta carry from somewhere. And if it's not gonna be mid, it better be top.
Yeah. Sammy, are you still here?
Yes.
Actually, wait. I'm surrounded by. Why are all the casters here jungle players?
Because jungle is the true intellectual role.
Yeah,
so it
jungle
makes us
is
the
knowledge.
best casters.
Anyway, Sammy, as another jungler, do you think that they should be targeting Ducky the jungler?
I mean, so far, Ducky has played 3 games today on Udyr, and there has not been answer for it. I think at
So
this
Sam,
point,
why didn't you ban Udyr? Why didn't your team do it?
well, I mean, I thought I could match it with like Warwick. Didn't work out. I mean, it's just that at this point, just get rid of it. It's just too much early game pressure, too much of a broken champ.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, it looks like this is very interesting at the moment. Mike Muted is still sticking with the red side. I think they got an answer for Seraphine. They're probably changing up the Leona and Nautilus band right here.
As expected, Singed Band comes through, followed by an Anivia back from Shorty Jian. Looks like they're sticking with their bands from the first game. And there's the Udyr, as we were all clamoring for. Udyr taken out of this this finals.
They do still ban Leona though. So that leaves Jian's top lane pretty much open sans the Singed.
I
I think over here at the next, if I were on Mike Muted, I would pick Cassidy and Lucian right here. I think those two are probably going to be pretty good. Lucian is definitely a takeaway, and I don't think Eric Johnson might default to a Tristana counter pick against the Cassidy, but I'm not entirely sure.
I
I
don't
think
think
he's
there's
gonna
any
go for Senna.
in here.
Okay.
I think they're a bit scarred from the Cassidy pick, and they have been playing control mages the entire tournament. I would expect to see them go back to something that has already worked for them. And there's the Lucian Braum just taking that powerful bot lane in the first rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, here comes Eric Johnson with the Senna pick. I think this is definitely a Cassidy angle right here, if the Senna pick does go through.
Yeah, I think Cassin's a lot more viable here because
Mhm.
honestly, that is something that Cassin can lane into.
Yeah.
Pretty much fine.
And I think with actually Senna and Seraphine, I would not recommend actually going Ilaoi or Darius here. To be honest, I think Senna and Seraphine just hard counters Ilaoi or Darius.
I
Just
think a
infinite
lot of
kiting.
champions counter Alawi and Darius.
Yeah. But I think if you play Ilaoi as well as Green Epic does, I think you have to be very, very confident in playing those matchups.
And it
Looks like Senna is locked in. Senna and Echo right here.
And now they're thinking about the Echo jungle. Is that the champion they played in your game, Vincent?
I believe they play Graves because when I play against them, we banned the Echo, just trying to get Ducky off of his comfort pick. It looked like Echo was his most played in solo queue, so we wanted to get him off of that. But Echo jungle definitely a lot less oppressive than Udyr jungle, especially in the early game.
All right, let's see what Team Mike Muted responds with here.
I think this is definitely a cast and angle right here. I think you have to have faith in SK Telecom T1 here.
Yeah, we'll see if they're traumatized after that last game, or if they opt into what appears to be another promising Cassidy angle.
Yeah, I think Cassidy angle here, and I'm not entirely sure if Cherry Boba does play the Senna. One thing that they can do is you can go for a Tristana mid on Eric Johnson's side. I think those are probably the only two solid laning AD carries. Oh, here comes the Darius hover. This is awesome. I love to see it.
Back against the wall. Greeny Pig
Darius
says,
can be really
take the
rough here,
leash
though.
off.
Let's
I'm
get
gonna
it.
play some Darius.
Yeah. I think Darius, this is a flash ghost kind of game. Please, please, please play an aggressive jungler that can snowball Darius. and Lucian Braum. I think one thing that Tofu's team have decided is that previous game we had 3 kind of just scaling winning lane that just waits around and do nothing until the 20-minute mark. This game, they're looking to end the game by the 20-minute mark.
I think this game they're going for comfort picks and they're looking to take the game into their own hands. They want agency this time.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see what they'll try to ban out.
I think they're saving their probably mid lane pick for last. I think given that it's an Echo pick, Echo doesn't really do super well against heavy farming junglers. I think that's one of the key things to know about Echo. And Echo with Seraphine and Senna isn't really the best champion. Doesn't see a lot of synergy in play between those because Echo wants to be looking at the flank and into Lucian Braum and Darius. It looks a little bit difficult because they're heavy bruiser and they can most likely peel Echo off.
Okay, so they banned the Kassadin. They do deny the counter pick to Seraphine. And that's the price you pay by locking in Darius here.
Yeah, I think we gotta give Tofu basically some additional consideration at what else does he have up his sleeve.
So
Now,
I don't like the Ari pick, which is one of the picks he brought out earlier in the day. I think that champion just does not do enough damage.
mhm,
It doesn't really offer much of anything else.
yeah.
How
But
do
I
you
think if
feel
you're
about the
trying to win the
Akali?
game by 20 minutes, I think Ari is not that bad of a pick.
Okay, and they ban Rammus.
Mm.
I'm surprised that they're concerned about Rammus with their team.
I think at the current moment they need a stronger engage than Darius and Braum running at Seraphine and Senna. That seems relatively difficult to do. And so I think they're looking to shore up.
Does Zihan play Olaf at all? Do you think Olaf could work?
Unfortunately,
I
he does not.
don't think I have seen Zihan play Olaf.
Yeah.
You know what I would actually like to see here? I would kind of like to see a Wukong jungle. I know that Zihan has played it quite a bit, and even though it's fallen out of meta, although TF,
Tofu goes for TF. I've not
that
seen him play
could
that in a
also-
while.
that could also work.
I
Definitely
love
gives
the
them some
Twisted pick.
engage.
Yeah, the Twisted Fate pick with Hexet Probell into the rapid fire cannon just has such a large engage range. You can basically pick off almost any person. You outrange even Senna and Seraphine. And I think it's a fantastic pick. And it really, really sets up the jungler. I think if you play Kayn this game, you have all 3 lanes that's super, super dominating. I think you can go for a Kayn pick here.
There is the issue though with the way TF cards work. You have to auto attack them, and Senna E prevents you from literally clicking on champions. So that's something to be concerned about. And it looks like Shorty and Jian is thinking about a Wukong top lane.
Wukong versus Darius is extremely Wukong favor. This is one of the few matchups that Wukong actually wins in the top lane. I think we're gonna have a fun and exciting top lane that's gonna snowball one way or the other. But with a Twisted Fate, Wukong versus Darius, this matchup can turn on its head. And also, one mechanical question that I do have is that does Wukong reveal all the champions even in Senna's E?
You mean TF?
Yeah, Twisted Fate, excuse me.
I don't think TF reveals under
Yes.
Senna E.
Yes, he does.
Are you sure it does?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, then I feel like Twisted Fate is a perfect pick if
Okay.
SK Telecom can pilot it to perfection. And I think over here, this could be an Assassin Kayn angle. If I were him, I'm definitely considering Assassin Kayn right here.
I'm not sure about
I
Zihan's
am
Assassin Kayn
not
and
at
Assassin Kayn in general
all
here.
considering Assassin
I
Kayn.
think
It is
Assassin Kayn is
very
really
bad
hard to
into
play
this.
into Alistar, Wukong, Seraphine,
And
ulti,
Echo.
and Echo.
Yeah.
I think Seraphine and Senna is just free picking, free food for the Kayn.
But that's
this is a
Nico.
Nico.
That's a Nico pick.
Yeah. This
Cherry
is a
Boba plays
Nico
Nico
pick.
support?
No, I think this is Nico mid laner with Cherry Boba playing Seraphine. If I have to guess. Seraphine Senna bot lane, Nico mid.
Xin Zhao. I
Xin
like
Zhao, let's go.
Very good
Let's see
pick.
it. This is an all-in early game.
They took the complete opposite of their last draft. They said, we want agency and we want it now.
The thing is,
Okay.
shorting
Actually,
Jian's
just
draft,
heard from the draft. Eric Johnson believed he picked Nico is actually an Alistair pick. I think they
okay,
believe.
they go back to the Alistar.
Okay.
And I'm guessing Mike Muted don't change their draft in response to that?
No.
So they definitely do have the option to.
Okay, is that so we have to confirm for the captains, is that a Nico pick, and will they also be picking Sins out in response?
Accidentally pick Nico when you're hovering Alistar.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, it is a Nico pick, and SK Telecom, are you okay with picking Sins out after? I guess maybe they're in game already. We do not know.
right, so they're sticking.
Okay, looks like there is some confusion about whether or not Nico is actually a Nico pick.
All right,
So,
we'll keep the audience posted.
Yeah.
We'll tell you as soon as we find out more about the
Yeah.
situation.
Yep.
But anyway, how are we thinking about these drafts?
I really, really like the Udyr ban here. It completely changed the draft for Shorty and Jianlu. I think they're definitely a much more like skirmish heavy, trying to outplay you kind of team fighting style. So I think definitely I like Mike Muta's chances. They're all on comfort, and hopefully Twisted Fate and Sinzao can be that engine that basically snowballed the rest of the Siling to leads.
I would agree with you on the comfort, except I am not sure the last time I've seen Tofu play TF in a real SR game.
They're on comfort, but they're also on a timer, right?
Mm.
Their comp is very early game, but that also means that their champions are going to fall off relatively quickly. Zin's out, especially, but also TF.
Yeah, they really need to make use of their TF ulti timings in Xin Zhao's early dueling pressure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, Nico is their selection, and I assume Sinzao will be the pick. Is that correct? Okay. So as we're getting into game, it looks like basically it is going to be Nico versus Sinzao. So what you have in the draft is completely correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let's see. So, do you still think it's a Nico mid? Do we have any data on if they play Nico mid at all?
I think Cole is pulling this one out of the blue right here. I have completely no idea what. It's definitely not a Nico support, I feel like.
Seeing Nico support on occasion.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not entirely sure what the lane assignment is, but I would be more in favor of Senna being support and then Seraphine bot, Senna Seraphine bot, and then Nico being the mid laner.
Well, I'm sure we'll find out as soon as we get into Champion Select and see how they decide to allocate their roles.
Mhm.
Unless we think that Cole might just swap wholesale to support and Cherry Boba goes mid.
Yeah, that is a possibility. But I think Cole is a lot less comfortable on support. He is okay with the Seraphine champion, but I do not believe in any of the scrims he played with Eric Johnson as his support.
All right. So since we have some downtime, do you want to talk about what you want to see from both junglers in terms of pathing and routing?
Sends out 3 buff into a gank, 3 buff into invade. 3 camps.
3 buffs. Please. 3 camps. Please. Let's see that level 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, level 2 gank mid, level 2 gank. Tough. Snowball the game from there.
I think there are just a plethora of extremely vulnerable champions for the Zinzao to gank. I want him to take his red buff and then immediately go top lane before Wukong has a chance to pick up that W. Wukong level 1 is a really easy gank.
Yeah.
A lot of people think about how slippery he is once he gets that decoy, but if you just go at him before he picks up decoy, super easy to pick up that kill. So I would want to see like the first bit of pressure go there, and then to just take the camps when he can, but focus on ganking. Use that flash really aggressively. Use it on cooldown. Get
Mhm.
these advantages. Find these kills.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so we have it on word from our production staff that Cole just purchased the champion Nico. So I really hope he's ready to pilot it. Because it does not sound like he has that much experience playing it.
Yeah, truly a disrespectful pick from Team Shorting.
On the bright side, playstyle wise, at least in terms of how the abilities hit, Seraphine is like a decent enough analog for Nico. So if he has experience on Seraphine, he should be able to know how to use some of his abilities on Nico.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that Cole is playing the Nico, because there is a plethora of different champions that Cole plays that beats Twisted Fate in the mid lane, and I think Nico is maybe Nico is trying to cosplay.
I have
I
to
think they might have just
imagine.
accidentally picked it.
Yeah, I think that it was just an accidental pick, and then rather than try to sort out any confusion, Madre just decided, you know what? We're confident that we can win even with this Nico. Let's just run it.
And hey, I mean, they're a game up. They have a game to try out Cole's Nico.
Yeah, this. Well, this is definitely looking like might be a tough game.
Nico does change the draft a bit though, in terms of how I look at it, because Nico is very much a champion you pick to try and dominate the lane. But team fighting with Nico can be really tricky, especially if you don't have your flash up.
But I think this time, with Seraphine ult and with Echo W, as well as with a Wukong R, I think Nico just needs to press R and hopefully land an E alongside E and Q alongside with those spells. So this is definitely like a press R to win kind of competition.
Yeah, I mean, I as well believe that Nico is at her best when she hits her skill shots. But
yeah, but Nico's skill shots are
I
not
do
the
think
biggest of range.
Yeah, that it's pretty difficult to play the Nico here. I'm not sure what mythic Nico builds in this season, but I would kind of like to see maybe a proto belt or something to help her land the ultimate.
Yep. Honestly, I think you built Nico the same way you built Galio, which is basically proto belt into Zonia's or Morello here.
Which makes you think, what if you just picked Galio instead?
You know, Galio would be a much better pick here.
Yeah, Galio would have been able to match the TF roams as well. You know, Galio would have been really good here instead of first timing Nico. But, you know, sometimes things happen in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, Nico does a better job of kiting the Darius and Zinzao than Galio, so I guess there's that.
There's definitely more outplay potential coming in from the Nico.
Yeah.
And maybe Tofu is so scarred from the lane swap that Nico just cosplay as Senna, Madre the Flame, walk into the mid lane, and Tofu will already be down 20 CS at 3 minutes.
No one thinks about the psychological effects of playing Nico, surprising him by walking in as Senna, an AD champion into his mid lane.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're way less concerned about it as a TF.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this game can rest in Tofu's literal hands, though. How, like, where he chooses to throw his gold cards and how he actually spaces and uses his RFC cooldown. I think that can decide a lot of these early to mid game fights.
Yep. Okay, I think for now we have. Any final thoughts on the draft?
I think it could go either way, personally. I think it's very execution based on Tofu's team. And if they don't execute, then they will lose on time alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But overall, I have to give the advantage to Team Mike's Muted. I mean, it just has to be addressed that Cole just bought Nico. He doesn't have any experience on this champion, and it's a super disrespectful pick. So let's see if they actually get punished for that.
Okay, now here's a word from our sponsor. Anna, would you like to take it away?
Anna might not be here. I can do the message if we want.
Yeah, sounds good.
A message from our title sponsor, Droppod. Droppod is a Williams alumni founded social media and gaming startup centered on making it easier to connect with friends to play online multiplayer games. One part gaming community and one part social media app. Droppod just launched and is in open beta. Droppod hopes that the Williams Network will be a major part of its community, so go check them out in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Yeah. In response to Kang Dynasty's question in the chat, the finals are a best of 3. So if Shorting Jian Lu wins this game, then they will be Winter Law 2021 champions, and Eric will have gotten his three-peat if we exclude Summer Law that happened.
Yeah, I think this is definitely looking like a tough climb for Mike Meada's team. Although they might be given a freebie this game. Cole on Nico. A little bit rough. First time Nico. This is literally first time a champion in the final, and that's just how a little bit disrespectful from Madre the Flame side.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
really need to see a good performance. We really, really need to see a good performance from SK Telecom T1 this game, though.
Yeah, getting into game, thinking about the level ones that could come out here after the pause. We have, of course, a TF Gold card and Braum passive on the red side, while Nico, Senna, and Seraphine scary in their own right. I really hope that we see some action at the level 1. I know that Madre has been very vocal about thinking that invading is cheating, but these champions have such amazing setup. Like, let's get the action going. If you're already trolling with a Nico pick, like let's see some games coin flipped to the level 1.
Does Madre think that just because he dies to early invades frequently?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that sounds about right to me.
Right. Yeah. Okay, looks like the game is about ready to start up. Ducky's mic was just not working for a bit, but it seems the technical issue is solved.
All right.
Maybe it wasn't solved.
maybe not quite solved yet.
Okay, looks like the play has resumed.
Oh, here we go. And red team moving together as a group.
This level 1, let's get it.
To the top side of the map.
Fantastic level 1. Yeah, they're looking to get a 5-point here.
Let's see if they can catch out JP Morgan and or Ducky here. Yeah. I don't think either of those players will walk up much past the river, though. Mm. But it does look like they're going for an invade with Xin Zhao leading the way.
Yeah, it looks like Wukong is definitely not in the correct position here.
Yeah, he needs to be a little further up.
He can't see them coming, and now doesn't get tagged by the Braum and is able to walk away. That's
That is
that's
going
just
to be hard.
a slight mistake in the ordering of the invade there. You really should have Twisted Fate leading the charge.
Mhm. It doesn't end up costing too much though, but you
Well, it
don't
cost
get
them
a
a
big
ward.
thing.
The blue side being able to take advantage of that and get a ward to spot out the Xin Zhao start. And Xin Zhao, starting on the blue buff, now is going to have a very telegraphed path.
Yeah. I think as a Xin Zhao player, you definitely want to make actions that happens early and often. And so getting a good read on the jungle path is definitely not in your favor. Oh, looks like this is Nico in the mid lane. First timing Nico. Holding up with a 0 CS at the moment. Oh,
Well, he
3
has
to 4
three. He
CS
has
actually.
3 CS. He's had perfect CS so far.
Okay.
Yeah, early wave clear for TF is going to be pretty mediocre until he decides to actually get one AP item and uses the main Demonstralizer on the 3 backline minions. I think until then, Nico's wave clear and push should be overall a little bit stronger.
Looks like Wukong just had to TP back. He lost the trade level 1 to the Darius, and he just had to TP back. Ooh. Now Darius is up in basically a ghost, a free summoners right here. Oh, let's look at check out the Xin Zhao invade onto the Echo. Oh, this is definitely
goes
very
right
good.
into the stun, but Echo says, "I don't want to take it."
Flashes out.
Yeah.
Yep. This is also very, very good.
Xin
Oh,
Zhao,
you
that's
hate
the
to see
Grom
that.
reset. But he can go right back onto it.
Yeah.
Tries to find the wolves as well. Those wolves aren't up.
We could already see a big shift in the dynamic though. SK Telecom's team is looking to actively make plays all over the map. SK Telecom just roaming from his mid lane to see if he can help his jungler look for a kill.
Yep, completely agree with that. Xin Zhao is level 3, and if I were the bot lane, I'll be looking to basically try to push Echo off of the Scuttle and try to get Xin Zhao the double Scuttle right here.
Also, Madre is going not farming Senna here and having the Seraphine farm up instead. I'm a much bigger fan of this poverty Senna.
Yeah, you're gonna see those souls stacking up much quicker on this version of the Senna, and now it looks like Ducky's in a good position to go for this bot lane gank. He's spotted out on a ward, but Lucian has just dashed in. The mid lane gank kind of fizzles out, but flash is forced from both bot laners on red side.
And no sums forced from Cole.
I think they definitely played that a little bit too fast. I feel like Lucian and Brown should be able to defend that relatively well as long as you dodge the Senna and Seraphine.
Well, the issue there was Lucian dashed in for a trade right as Echo stepped into vision. So they didn't have that mobility tool and ended up getting caught out.
That's definitely something you have to watch out for. I think you have to know at that time, Echo is most likely looking to do Scuttle into a gank.
Yeah, the thing is though, even though they forced the sums out of bot lane, Firo and Monkey Dong are back to playing the bot lane basically normally, whereas Nico was forced to just concede the wave, giving Tofu an earlier reset than him.
All right, but at least Nico is still able to keep up in that CS, only 3 down. So not too much of a farm lead yet. The only real farm leads that we're seeing are from the Darius and the Lucian over the Seraphine.
I think this is definitely looking very, very good. If Xin Zhao is able to get 1 or 2 ganks off, I think it looks very, very good for the red team.
I think from your comments during the draft stage, though, it seems like you thought that the Wukong should be doing way better in this lane than he currently is.
Yeah, Wukong should definitely be doing better than Darius is. I think Wukong, in terms of the level 1 trade, as long as you stack up your passive, you should not really be losing that.
I mean, Darius passive is much stronger than than Wukong passive in the level 1. So if you're just trading autos, Darius is going to win every time.
I don't think almost any champion should be just trading autos with a Darius level 1.
Yeah, but the thing is, Wukong, once you get all of your abilities and you're able to start just taking short trades, that's
Yeah.
when you're able to really start to chunk out the Darius's HP and punish him for the pick.
Also, we have a question from the chat. They're asking for the jungler's opinions on Echo's choice of phase rush this game.
Ooh, that is something that's very interesting. I've almost never seen phase rush on Echo. I think Echo needs that extra damage from Electrocute or from the Dark Harvest in order
Yeah.
to get those damages off.
Have never played Phase Rush Echo, and I am not quite sure why one would take it. The only thing that I can think of is maybe you're really trying to get that Q follow up. But to me, Echo has always, if you're able to proc Phase Rush, you're probably already on top of them with Echo. And here we can see a beautiful W from the Echo. TF ulting in, pulls the blue card, and now left in an awkward 3v2, gets taken down himself. Double kill over to the Echo. Pharaoh trapped in the 1v3, splitting his focus, gives a free kill over to the Seraphine, and 3 low HP members on blue side, but 3 dead members on red side.
That's really rough. Like we talked about before, SKT's team is on a timer.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be giving up an early lead like that.
Super rough.
Yeah.
And during that entire time, Xinjia was attempting to invade the top side of Ducky's jungle, but Ducky cleared it all out already. Xinjia basically just wasted all his time there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a Twisted Fate player and using the ultimate there, I think you should be able to tell what is going on. Definitely not something that you're looking for. Oh, maybe we get a solo kill in the top lane.
There's the Darius ultimate,
Darius
and
dunked.
Right now, the only saving grace for Mike's Muted is this advantage that they have from the Darius. The bot side of the map kind of collapsing.
Yeah. I think once the Echo does get a little bit too more bad, it's going to be relatively difficult to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. And I am curious to see what build Xin Zhao opts for. We see a Vampiric Scepter coming out as the first item, so that seems like it's going to be a Immortal Shield Bow as the mythic purchase. So passing over things like the
What about Blade
Triforce
of Ruin King?
It could be a Blade of the Ruin King, but that definitely is a rarer Xin Zhao pickup.
Yeah, I think Xin Zhao here is. I think it looks like he's going for the attack speed Xin Zhao build, so most likely just maybe even lethality or crit. I'm not entirely sure what Xin Zhao is.
My favorite Xin Zhao build this season is definitely Shield Bow into Essence Reaver. I think it's a really strong 2-item combo, especially after the Essence Reaver buffs.
Forces a flash anyway.
A flash to follow. Yeah. Wukong falling
like
once
there's
again.
Quite the top canyon that's forming up here. And Darius still has his ghost, so after this next reset, he can still threaten kill pressure on top lane.
He didn't even kill him with his ultimate. Oh my god.
Unchained from the tanks onto the juggernauts and really making a showing for himself. TP back to lane from the Wukong, giving up that global pressure.
But can Greedy Pig get enough of a lead that he can deal with the control of
Xin Zhao looking for the gank here, has a really good position. Doesn't go for the long angle, and the blue team is able to just walk away.
Yep, they have a control ward in the bush.
Darius going in for another trade. Forces the decoy out, and now while that cooldown is ticking, I'd like to see Darius try to convert maybe once again. Wukong just starts channeling his recall.
I would have said that was a good trade by Greeny Pick, but I don't think JP Morgan really did anything back to the Darius.
Can't call it a trade.
Yeah, I think one thing that we have to notice is that this Nico is actually
lane tank again. I think a tower dive might be difficult.
Oh my god. Really good Seraphine ult and a good Senna follow-up, but a nice punch by the red side bot lane. But the counter punch is strong enough to force them off of the play.
Yeah. I think the Madre should have been fine there even without the Ek rotation though, because you can see the Seraphine still had her heal available.
Mhm.
I think your Xin Zhao, you're looking to do this Herald and basically putting it mid and hopefully unlock this Twisted Fate to make more plays around the map.
Yeah.
I think
Twisted Fate
next,
has ulti up, by the way.
yeah.
I think you really don't want to put it top. I think that
This is
knocking down
not.
the top
No,
turret
I think
kind
you
of frees the Wukong.
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
maintain the lane kingdom that Greedy Pig has. Now
Yeah,
Wukong's
so
trying to freeze the
getting
Greedy-
rid of this turret definitely is a large influx of gold over to Xin Zhao. You see 770 picked up there for the first turret. But Wukong doesn't have to worry about that turret eating his CS anymore and can kind of farm a lot more safely.
Darius also doesn't get any of the plating on first tower gold there. He's not able to like really skyrocket his lead forward.
Yeah, and it forces Darius to roam around here. It's like
Walking
walking
over
through
a
pink ward.
Forward.
It's I really disagree with the decision that Twice is making here. I think he frees Wukong from the lane, takes all of the solo tower gold that has been built up, and not giving a single, basically
See
anything
if
to the Darius.
Xin Zhao play bot lane. Nope, the snare just denies that.
Yeah.
And Darius though,
Darius has
going
to
in,
here
pops the
to see the
ghost.
ghost.
Ultimate out of Wukong, has one more knockup. Let's see if he can use it to escape. But this is just going to be a dunk and an easy burn for Darius.
The freezing the tower doesn't work if the creeps are pushing back to the other side.
Yeah.
True.
And honestly, at this point, I'm not even sure that even if Ducky comes, he can kill the level 10 Darius with Stride Breaker.
I definitely think that it would just be a double kill for the Darius. You have to just ignore that lane and try to push your advantage elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think the old adage is to not gank losing lanes. And if your lane is losing this badly, you really, really don't want to gank it.
Yeah.
And if that enemy laner has a high damage resettable ultimate, you really don't want to gank him.
Yeah. And also you have a Twisted Fate that whenever he ganks, they might just turn into a 2v2. A 2v2 that you definitely want to avoid. I think Green Epic needs to play a lot more aggressively here, even just play constantly off the tower. If the bot lane is showing, you should be up there pressuring the Wukong.
And honestly, he's doing a great job. Even with that turret down, you can see he's pushing his advantage into the jungle, picking up the Gromp, grabbing some deep vision, looking for the wolves and trying to corral Ducky down into the bot side of the map. But TP comes out for Nico to get back into lane. Echo trying to flank behind the Xin Zhao for the bot lane play.
Twisted Fate need to be ulting here.
A 4v3 coming in. Senna falls at the very beginning.
Before the ulti comes out.
And
Echo's
that's going to be
a
3 for 0. 2 for 0 so far. Echo running away, trying to escape this play. A flash out from Pharaoh. Not going to be quite enough, but he should be able to just chase this down and at the very least force and execute.
Yeah. This definitely looks like a very, very... Maybe the phase rep is working. Let's go, Pharaoh.
Picks up the kill, a 3-for-0 play, and a dragon going over to the red team. And in spite of some early bumps and hiccups, we can see the early game composition of Mike's Muted really hitting its stride rather than breaking it, and getting a gold lead in this game.
The only consolation that Eric's team gets here is that Jian finally has some breathing room in the top lane.
Yeah.
So now that Darius is walking back, I think Jian's gonna have to start backing up real soon.
Yeah. Even with all those free farms, he is still 2 levels behind.
He's trying to hit the turret. That can't be the correct move.
Yeah.
So Green doesn't have Ghost, but he does have
Stride Breaker.
Yep. This
and
looks like
pulls in the Wukong.
mastery.
Hits him with the ultimate, looks
Can we
away.
move the camera over to the tower? I just want to see how much damage did Wukong do to the tower there. How much damage?
I mean, it's gotta be worth his life. You know, that's a solid maybe what 1/3, a little bit less than a third.
Yeah, that's like about one Wukong life.
Yeah, that's one Wukong life.
Wait, actually 2 since you get the clone as well.
Wow. Yeah, I think this is just a freaking machine right here. He's gonna pop off this game. This is his game to carry, and
no, many of the games that Tofu's team wins are won through strength in the top side of the map, and that's what's happening in this game right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's definitely a shame that we didn't see that earlier from the legendary Green Epic. 4-0-0 in the top lane.
Something that I do want to note though, Cole here, a last pick or second to last pick player, going into this mid lane against the captain of the enemy team, playing a champion that he bought after the draft, and is still about even in CS.
Oh, Zero really
Seraphine ult there. Both of the bot laners. The TF TPs into a 3v2 and has to burn his flash to get away. Doesn't even get away. Echo picking that one up. Senna not quite sniping the Braum. And a good fight taken by the blue team. And another sort of misexecuted TF ult.
Yeah, you don't have your Xin Zhao, you don't have your Darius there. You don't. These are not the strongest members of Tofu's team.
Yeah, and I have to think that the TF in these fights has been hitting the ultimate and just teleporting immediately. Hasn't really been checking to see what his ultimate is revealing to him, you know? Hasn't been appreciating the numbers disadvantage that he's able to see on the map before.
You think that ulting to the range of Seraphine, Senna, and Echo might not be the best decision.
It might not be optimal, is all I will commit to. All right, now Darius here for the... Oh my god. Echo not able to pop his ultimate.
The strength of a rocket TF.
Yeah. And I believe it is the Eclipse for the Xin Zhao, not the shield bow like I had thought it would be. Yep, that's the Eclipse.
Eclipse increases your healing power a bit, but I feel like the item has gotten so many nerfs over these past
a lot of the nerfs were to ranged users. So melee Eclipse has maintained a decent power level.
Senna with...
He's going the Umbral Glaive build. He might go the Zero Mythic build. That is possible.
All right. Herald being put down for the red team mid, trying to get some map pressure. An easy turret taken, and they're going to look to get that Herald into the next tower. Probably not going to be able to. Easily taken down by the blue team.
The dragon should be spawning soon, and this will be third dragon for Tofu's team if they can secure it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this looks like it's going to be a Cloud Soul, so it looks relatively
a Cloud
not
Soul
as ideal as Ocean Soul.
A Cloud Soul on TF Xin Zhao Darius matters.
Yeah.
That's very true.
I would say that the Cloud Soul is honestly probably one of the better souls.
If you're trying to play a fast game, there's fewer souls that really ramp up tempo like Cloud Soul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The chat would like to see what how many souls Senna has at the moment.
Yeah, it's like 83 souls.
Senna support Senna. You don't get the
Green Epic is getting chunked out right here. Echo has a very, very good. Echo stun is gonna be down for 22 seconds for now. Oh, this is just a constant hope again.
Absolutely out. The Seraphine ult, just barely not extending, and now here comes the re-engage from Xin Zhao. A Lucian ult in, Xin Zhao taking up so much damage with his ultimate. TF ults into the backline, gets rooted up and stunned by the Nico, and now here comes the Wukong and the Echo to clean up the team fight, picking up the shutdown on Darius and absolutely routing the red team.
Yeah, and Echo picks up a huge amount of gold for killing.
Oh, and Xin Zhao falls as well. A shutdown over to Senna. What a huge swing in favor of the blue team.
They tried to fight into a choke point behind a wall when one team has Seraphine, Senna, Echo,
and Nico. I think the real question mark in that fight was the TF teleport into the backline alone. You have the Darius, you have the Xin Zhao making space for you. Just play behind them. Throw your gold cards out. Let them be in the front. Going into the back doesn't do anything if no one's able to play with you. So
I did say
being focused down, and yeah, the lack of familiarity with TF really showing through.
Yeah. I think I much would have preferred SK Telecom, given his performance so far on something like an Ari or something that basically is a little bit easier to execute. I think whenever his ultimate has been up, Tofu has just been giving away his basically passive income
He's had
away to the blue team.
one good ulti this game when he ulted down bot lane, killed the Seraphine, and they got a basically 4-4 nil trade. Besides
Yeah.
that, every ulti has resulted in his death and oftentimes the death of his allies.
Yeah. The gold lead that the red team had accrued through the Darius stomping this Wukong has now completely evaporated. We're down to only a 500 gold lead.
Yeah.
So we'll see how the rest of this game plays out.
Yeah. You know, one question I do have for SK Telecom is that did he just purchase his champion just like Cole has for the for this game? Because given their performance, honestly, I think Cole has been playing a much better first time champion kind of game.
Yeah, a really solid performance given his level of experience.
Yeah, Cole hasn't been actively trying to do as many things around the map as TF has,
Mhm.
but when TF's trying to do things around the map and just keeps dying, maybe that's actually for the better.
Yeah. Man, this Twisted Fate, if you have Zonius, you can make that kind of play. If you do not,
Oh, Greeny Pick getting
Yeah.
absolutely caught out. 4 people, he flashes away and somehow Smooth Criminal makes it out of that very
flat-
illegal position.
So that's both sums.
yeah.
Sure.
I think Green Epic needs to be in the top lane with TF supporting him. And I think Green Epic needs to split push to win the game. And I think all the team fights, he has not been flanking super well. So I think the only way to win the game is just to split.
I disagree. I don't think that you should be split pushing with the Darius. Darius has a lot of team fight presence, and your team really needs you to be there for them to contest any of these objectives. So he definitely has to show up. And the split push is honestly not that threatening from the Darius because you have like 4 champions on the opposing side that can just wave clear and kite the Darius if he tries to go for an all-in. So the split push threat isn't very high this game.
Well, you do have Twisted Fate, who can give Darius the support, and you do have a winning side lane. So I think as long as you wear up the jungle and maybe pressure mid, they don't necessarily have the best engage over here.
But if the blue side decides to just clear the wave under turret, it's very difficult for Darius to like force the issue.
I'm not sure if I agree. I think with Twisted Fate ulting in, I think there's definitely a chance if Darius and Wukong is left in a 1v1. Darius can definitely take advantage of that.
No, I'm saying that you don't have it be the Wukong. You just have like a Seraphine or Nico clear the wave, right? And then it's extremely difficult.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it looks like this is going to be I feel like blue team is getting away with a lot of scaling time right now. Both Twisted Fate and Darius is basically walking around the map, wondering how do I continue to push our leads?
And the big time bomb here is definitely the Senna, you know? Picking up these souls, getting that extra range, getting to a point where she can easily DPS and out-kite all of these divers and juggernauts on the enemy team.
Yeah, Senna will eventually reach a point where if Darius hesitates in front of her for a moment, she will just chunk him out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really concerned for Tofu's team here. They are not keeping up the tempo that they need to. And also losing that dragon means they can't even play for a dragon win condition at a reasonable time now.
Yep, let's see if the Nico gets caught out here. A flash by the Xin Zhao going to be countered by the Nico's ultimate into a root. And Xin Zhao has to back off from that play. Ducky goes in onto the Echo, has to burn his ultimate to escape the Darius. Let's see if that cooldown matters in this fight.
Let's take a look at SK Telecom as well as the Wukong. They are both extremely low, and I believe Wukong and SK Telecom both have ultimate or teleport.
Blue team starts up the dragon first, and looks like it's going to be an easy burn, no contest.
Oh, I think the blue team is getting away with murder right here. They
Yeah.
definitely have to force an engage, and I think the best way to engage onto a Senna and Seraphine is just when they're doing the Drake, you just gotta run it down.
Yep, there's the ghost available on the Darius. You can just get in there, run in, rely on that Sterix, make space for your team, and try to force something. But the moment passes, and now we're left waiting for the next objective to come up.
Oh, it looks like they're...
Oh, the collapsing onto the Darius. They spot him trying to recall pretty far up in the lane. A 3v1, the Echo stun misses, but with his phase rush, he's able to get way in front, and the 3 people beating on the Darius are too much for our...
Even with Ghost,
top laner
it's so hard to outrun an Echo, Seraphine, and Senna. They have so much movement speed together and slows.
Yep.
So
Very
now,
easy pickup.
even as much as we might have criticized JP Morgan and Wukong in the laning stage, he will still be relatively useful in these team fights. He's still able to just knock people up in the backline.
And no matter how many times he's died in lane, it's going to be difficult to single him out in a team fight because he can rely on that decoy to buy himself time and get his combo, get his ultimate.
Might be a pick going on in the bot lane. They need to get him.
Looks like both sides content to farm it out for now. A 1,000 gold lead has been accrued by the blue team, and it's really starting to look like that timer is running out for the red team.
Yeah, TF just picked up his Lich Bane, so his gold cards or any of the cards he draws will do a decent chunk of damage, but doesn't have the range to match Senna or Seraphine without RFC.
But rather than being completely defeatist about this, let's talk about what are the ways in which the red team can pull off, honestly, what would be a comeback at this point.
I mean, I still think if anybody on Eric's team missteps here, they can really capitalize it with Singed Out TF from Lucian. But more often than not, they've either been playing as a 4 and a 2 or 4 and 1 together. You probably don't want to be engaging solely on an Echo, or they haven't been able to quite coordinate together to capitalize on missteps.
I think one of the bigger issue is that this Senna is just slowly scaling. I believe the last time we checked, she's already about 135 souls, maybe even 140 right now, 136 at the moment. And I think as Senna gains that range, it's going to be a ticking time bomb. So definitely, I think
crit.
Yeah.
Also,
SK Telecom has to start making picks, otherwise this TF pick is going to be a lot more useless.
Because Seraphine was a lot to farm this whole game, she has the finished moveset, and she also picked up Mikhail's to help counteract TF's power.
Yeah.
So if she's quick on the draw with that, then that initial ulti gold card is not going to be very effectual.
Yep. Really rough time to be playing the TF now.
Yeah. I think Darius has not been playing selfishly enough this game. I feel like there should be almost no situation where Darius, being that far up, now is currently down 20 CS to the Wukong. I think it's just maybe there's some macro issues over here, and maybe his team didn't play around him enough. But
looks like we got an engage looked for by the Darius and the Braum, but the blue team able to walk it off, zoned with the Seraphine and Echo tools, and the red team being chased out of the jungle.
This is what we were concerned about with a pick like Darius.
Ducky going forward, being followed by the Wukong, red team getting absolutely chunked out. Darius forced to flash away, Ducky flashes after, and now it's the blue team chasing down the low HP members of the red team. Braum gets absolutely exploded. Darius looks to be the next target. Xin tries to buy space for his team, but in the end gets chunked out himself. Does buy enough space for his teammates to live. TF splitting on the bot side here, and I have to imagine that it's got to be either the Baron or the Dragon for blue team. It looks like they're going to opt for the Dragon.
Yeah, I think the Dragon's fair. Their Baron Take's not the fastest in the world since Senna opted to go for an Eclipse as her mythic item. You can take Dragon reasonably quickly, and it will also let you just rotate down bottom lane to answer the push that TF has set up. We talked about this a little bit in the draft, like some of the concerns we have with the Darius pick. It's really hard to play Darius into champions like Seraphine that are able to just throw a wave of CC at you. Unless you can find a flank, it's
oh my
this game's
god,
rough to
Senna
play.
has scaled. Look at that damage coming out onto the Lucian and now onto the Xin Zhao.
Right.
They
People who
just
are
do not
wondering,
have a good enough engage, I think, to touch the Seraphine, Nico, as well as the Senna poking from the backline.
anybody in the audience who was wondering why many don't consider Lucian to be a viable bot laner in the competitive meta nowadays, can see what happens to Lucian now. You have 248 CS to the 36 CS of Senna. Doesn't really matter very much.
Yep. Range disadvantage is a bit too much to overcome. And I am curious, when Nico turns into Senna, she gets Senna's auto attack range, correct?
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah.
But I think
it is
Nico,
not going to hurt as much though.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely not as strong.
Maybe Lichbane Nico.
But the
I
thing,
mean, Nico does have the auto attack bonus damage on her W.
okay, here comes the pick onto
Play.
Seraphine.
All right.
Okay.
Okay,
that's
let's go.
Immediately, Seraphine gets shut down.
Yeah.
Let's see if they can finish off the Darius. Looks like he lives with the Sterix. The gold card comes out from the TF, immediately cleansed. Senna gets out of that play. And
This is definitely a Baron angle right here.
I want to see them go onto this Baron. They have Darius.
They need to push
resetting,
this.
but he
There
decides
is
not to, and they need to start it. The Wukong TP's in. Oh, and they're just looking to pick off the
Nico clone.
Nico.
Pretty sure this guy is first time Nico. I'm pretty sure he played that perfectly right there.
And it looks like they're scared. They don't want to go for the Baron. They
Yeah,
prefer
they're
to
not
just catch the
confident
top.
that Seraphine is enough.
Well,
I think definitely
agree
you
that-
have to look for an engage there. You have Twisted Fate. Basically, you just have so much pick potential there that if you catch anyone with a stun card, it's almost instant death for them. And you know that Madre the Flame just cleansed.
Yeah. Especially because Madre the Flame just cleansed and you've deleted the Seraphine who has the Mikhails. That being said, Echo, a pretty hard target to burst out with his ultimate, and Nico as well has her ultimate and Zanya's, so...
And if Seraphine is close to any of them with the Mikhails, you're not going to one-shot them.
Yeah, the burst targets, the window for TF to catch people out and immediately burst them out of the game is steadily closing.
And honestly, I think if TF wants to play that kind of engage Messiah playstyle as TF, you have to go for basically the stopwatch or Zanya's. Going for the death cap third, I think it's okay. I think it could be okay, but you have to play very, very differently. You have to play like as if you're a backline carry.
I think the way that
TF
he's
has
been playing a
like that.
lot, RFC would have been really valuable as well.
Yeah, definitely. But I think RFC gradually loses value as Mikhail comes in and as Cherry Boba as the cleanse from Madre the Flame comes in.
Getting some poke down onto the Xin Zhao, putting him at about half HP.
No, we all know Senna's really after the 3 souls that were on the ground there. Xin Zhao was just an obstacle on the way.
An extra soul, a bonus soul, and blue team starts up the Baron. Red team not really in position to respond. They're on the way over. Let's see how they handle this.
Darius has a flank if they can enter in through the bot side and distract them a bit.
Echo diving in, gets the stun onto Xin Zhao and Braum. Wukong immediately onto the Lucian.
Okay, a gold card from the TF kills the Seraphine.
And we have to have eyes on the Darius, looking for the Senna. Let's see which one of these carries can win the fight.
Oh, Wukong is going to pop off. Oh,
No,
Darius
is the one who's
popping off. Darius was able to get a
It's
key
the
flank.
triple kill and carries the team fight.
Yeah, Darius was able to get a really good flank there with the TF supporting him. No one was able to immediately turn onto the TF like what happened in many other fights. Now
Echo
they just
is
have to
out
make
here.
sure Echo doesn't steal the Baron.
Here comes the blue
But
card.
that's an easy
Here
gold
comes the red card.
Yeah.
Or the
One
gold
of those
card.
cards. You'll get there,
One of those
Vincent.
cards,
You'll get to
yeah.
the right one.
Honestly, Tofu pulled so many of these blue cards. I don't even know what kind of cards he has.
Wow, and we were talking about the red team being on a timer, but just like that, a huge team fight victory, and they're swinging right back into this game. 3,000 gold lead now lining their pockets.
Yeah.
So people don't consider Darius be a scaling pick basically at all. But if you're able to get a flank and hit people in the back line, you're still able to do a lot of damage.
You know, Darius, his brain has scaled. He found those team fight positioning, and he's gonna pop off.
It was just the Darius. I think that was SK Telecom actually had a really good ulti there to help the Darius catch up to people who would normally be able to just weasel away out of from him.
Yeah.
Played around his win condition, abandoned his Lucian without a second thought, and said, "Hey Darius, I'm right here with you. Whatever you need."
Yeah.
Tofu knows his role in this game. Picks up the RFC.
Yeah. I think with the Baron buff, if the red team plays it correctly, they can get a lot. They have a very, very strong 1-3-1 team composition. And Brahms disengage is also pretty good.
I think they have to be really careful not to just full group here, though.
Yeah, definitely not a full group here. I think running into a Senna Seraphine, just trying to poke them out is going to be tough.
Yeah, especially trying to avoid giving the Wukong a good angle to disrupt the entire team. In that last fight, we saw the Wukong ultimate essentially on only Pharaoh, not really reaching the full efficacy of that champion. And honestly, that being a big difference maker in that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like they're going for the 1-3-1. And right now, chat, you should be really supporting SKT if you want to see a game 3 from this series.
Oh, Wukong going in for the 1v1 against TF, but getting
He
absolutely
definitely does not win
punked
here.
out. The gold card is true, and that's Wukong getting picked off in the side lane.
Is anyone else here just astounded by how little damage Wukong did?
Yeah, it turns out that going 0-6 is not great for your damage output.
He's 0-6, but he still has 3 items.
Yeah, I think at that point, Tofu is level 18 with Ignite, with RFC. The amount of time that it takes for Wukong to walk up to Twisted Fate. Oh, Twisted Fate just kills Senna.
Oh my god.
Cracks open the game. Wukong might be, or Darius might be able to find Nico here. No, it looks like the Nico's...
TF should just be ulting right now. TF should be ulting right now.
And this split push, they could end the game off of this. The death timers are quite long. They have 35 seconds on the Senna. TF in a very awkward position goes for the gold card against Echo, just barely makes it out. And oh no, TF drops and the Echo is able to get an ultimate, a huge Nico ultimate to stall out this fight. Gets the damage, Braum goes down.
Where is the Darius? Darius needs to come.
No,
The Wukong
Darius
has
is
respawned,
pushing
but Darius
top.
has decided that he's going to push down the top lane turret and get out of there.
So they get 1 inhib overall from this, and also crack open the inhib tower top. Having 2 inhib towers down makes the game really volatile for blue side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think if this Twisted Fate plays it to perfection, there's almost no way that they can come back into this game. I think over there, if Twisted Fate just held on to his initial gold card and gold card a little bit faster, and his team play through that Echo, Zhonya's and ultimate a little bit better, Echo was dead there, and they probably go on and win the game there.
I think if Tony flashes in on the Echo, he would also be in heal range for Tofu and save his life there. But that's a really hard
things.
Yeah.
Small things to see that could have ended the game there, but we'll have to see how this one plays out now.
You know, I think Tofu is probably like a pro player first time in the champion. I think as the game has scaled, he has learned the strengths and weaknesses of his champion, and he's been popping off the last couple of times we see him on screen.
40 minutes, he's learned how to play TF.
I think it's more likely that he's remembering what this champion's able to do. And also he has the items that he can get away with plays that he wasn't able to before.
Yeah. You know, sometimes I remember it took Medio 60 minutes to learn how to do the insect. And it looks like it was only taking Tofu about 30 minutes to learn how to play TF. So he's definitely up there.
Yeah, our
40 minutes
observer.
for a gold card.
Oh, here's a gold card
Wukong.
forcing out the flash from Wukong.
That's a huge team fight tool that's just gone from the map.
Yeah,
One
we see that.
question I do have to ask is what is Sinzao doing? Well, his spread the
Xin Zhao
rest of the
getting his
team is
Krugs, making sure that he's keeping that farm up.
Look, you thought Xin Zhao would be a potato once you hit late game. If you just keep taking like Krugs and your entire jungle side,
Yeah.
maybe you'll do something.
Okay,
Yep.
here comes
Okay, and
Engage.
Engage onto the Darius, chunking him out. Xin Zhao
Here comes
going
the Echo.
right in onto the Nico, isn't able to finish him off, and Xin Zhao is just going to get burned through. The rest of the team doesn't have anything to say about that, and it looks like both teams are going to back off of that. And we have now a 4v5 going into the Dragon Soul fight.
Yeah. I think this is definitely a split push angle. I think Twisted Fate had to use the Destiny Gate right there.
So Ducky's gonna go for the dragon. Red team has to know that something's up, that they might be giving up the Dragon Soul, but it doesn't look like they're comfortable with contesting for inhib in this downtime.
Yeah. I think at this point, Senna is going to scale infinitely, and Senna also has the stopwatch to prevent any engages. I think this game, split push is the name of the game. Twisted Fate is up to him and to finish off the Nexus Tower and basically hold on until that. Honestly, the blue team just should not be able to walk out of the base and threatening the Twisted Fate ult into picking off almost any single person at this point.
Red team should look to split push and then pressure Baron.
Yeah, I definitely agree here. Even though they do have the Dragon Soul, as long as you give Twisted Fate enough vision for him to work with, you can definitely be pressuring Baron right here.
Well, I think the Cloud Soul is way less useful on blue team than it is on red team. Although having 4 Cloud Dragons for the CDR is really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like there might be a fight breaking out for control around the Baron area.
Yeah.
Red team has the position on this fight. Wukong alone in the bot lane, moving over to join his team now. Blue team pushing up into the river, trying to get the wave, but red team is already halfway through the Baron and not respecting how quickly they can go through it. Now it looks like red team is going to turn off of the Baron into the fight. The Seraphine ult gets blocked by a huge Nico ultimate. And SKT goes into the back line, goes for the hero play, Zanya's, but then he's going to drop, and only one blue team member has died.
Okay.
Arrow picks up the Echo, but the Senna is still
really tough to
alive
run.
and free firing. I don't think there's any way for these two to take on the 3 enemy team members. Look at that range. It's absolutely absurd. And that's an easy pickup for Senna, shutting down the Darius and killing the Lucian.
Greedy Pick tries his best there, taking advantage of the Stride Breaker and the bush to get the jump onto Senna, but he just doesn't have the damage. He doesn't have his 5 stacks.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like bot inhib just respawned. Let's see, Nico's resetting to try and stop the Suminians from taking the inhib.
I think SK Telecom T1 is going for hero plays after hero plays, and sometimes it just doesn't work for him. I think it's much better to play a backline with the kind of items that you have right now. And honestly, I think at this point, is maybe Destiny Gate into their base would have been a much better play.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't think that he would have had enough time to end the game, so...
Yeah, but I think it would have definitely forced the Wukong and maybe the Nico TP right there.
I don't think he could end the game, but he could probably get 2 inhibs. Actually, just the one. The bot would take too long to respawn.
Yeah. I think at this point now it's going to be very, very difficult. I think
the Elder fight probably going to be one last big team fight opportunity. Let's see if the red team opts to go for the drawn battle lines fight, or if they attempt something sneaky with these open inhibs.
Yeah, I think Twisted Fate at this point. I think TF should just maybe ult on cooldown, just try to look for picks here, and regardless, everything is going to be back up by the time it's time for Dragon.
Mm-hmm. we can see that Lucian now has picked up a QSS of his own, going to be able to get away from the Senna Seraphine Nico snares, and hopefully allowed to play a little bit further up in these team fights.
Right now, they're forced into an awkward. They're not playing the game that they want to. They're being forced to team fight and deal with this Baron.
Yeah, Darius looking for the flank, but there is a ward, which should spot him out. Nope, he's still unseen, but if he does move around, the blue team will be able to see him coming. A gold card onto the Nico.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good
block
block by
the
Braum
return
to save his
damage.
captain.
But the turret
Look
does
at the
drop, and look
Senna.
at how much range Senna has. Holy crap. How do you get on top of something like that? With the GA, with so much defensive power.
Yeah, giving up the Baron is proving to be really costly for Tofu's team here. They don't have any way to just match the blue team head on. And if you have Baron buff, you can just group up as 5.
And anytime a member gets even remotely close, the Senna is there, hitting those auto attacks. Oh my god.
no.
Hero just
Just
dies.
instantly blown up. Zinzao goes in, but none of his team is with him. A stopwatch from the TF is going to keep him alive for a little bit longer. Darius trying to make the hero 1v5, but there's no way he can get through all of the heals and shields from the blue team. And 4 members down, Braum the only one left alive. This is going to be the victory over to shorting Jian.
Yeah, that looks like it's game. So we have to give it to the 3-peat team. Monitor the Flames.
Without dropping a single game, Madre the Flame takes the Williams Winter Lull 3-peat.
I think this game was definitely winnable. There were certainly moments in this game where Tofu's team, if they just executed a little bit more cleanly, if they were just a little touch more coordinated, they could have closed out the game in their favor.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw the huge advantage generated early in the game by Green Epic. And it was enough to carry one of those team fights, but they just fell a little bit short of the execution required to close out this game. All right, taking a look at the final standings. In our semifinals on the A side, Mike Muted won a 2-1 victory over It's an 8th, whereas in the B side, shorting Jian Lu took the clean 2-0 over Team Sammy Diff. And now wrapping up the finals, shorting Jian Lu completing their undefeated Williams Winter Lull run with another 2-0 series against Tofu's team, Mike Muted.
I think a decent amount of this might have been the players that Eric was able to draft onto his team. He was able to pull Jian Lu and Ducky way later in the draft than we would expect based on their performance in this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely getting some good value picks with those two. And even at the end of the draft, Cherry Bob really punching above his weight for the spot in the draft that he was picked in. Good value from
and
from
Cole,
Madre the Flame.
Literally first timing Nico for the tourney and pulls out the win.
Yeah,
The true
definitely.
DM.
Yeah, but to be fair, he looks like he was playing against a first-time TF for the first 20 minutes of the game.
Fair. So as soon as Eric's team is available, we'll try to pull one of them in to do a little winners interview. Oh, yeah. Do we have an MVP for the series overall?
For the series overall, I would say probably the Madre the Flame has my vote. His first game, the Lucian versus the Cassidy, and the second game, I think the infinite scaling on Senna definitely propelled him to victory.
Yeah, I agree completely. The game 1 Lucian performance was absolutely beautiful and completely dismantled the Cassidy. And game 2, you saw the Senna being such a huge force in that late game. So Madre the Flame, definitely going to be my series MVP.
What about the tournament MVP?
Tournament MVP. Well, it's got to be the MVP of the finals. Eric consistently, putting on those carry performances, able to carry yet another team to a Williams Winter Lull final.
Really? I personally give it to Ducky. I think he did a really good job of keeping comms clear in the team and making sure everyone knew where threats were on the map, how to play the game at certain moments, and apparently coaching Jian Lu through the entire top lane stage.
Oh.
Well, fair enough. I didn't have any insights into their comms, so.
Yep. Yeah. I think whoever did their draft was definitely very, very intelligent. And I think they had very, very clean draft every single game throughout the whole entire series. Now it looks like we have Eric in room 1, and let's get him in here. Hello, Eric. How's it going?
Yo, what's up? GG's.
GG.
Good games from Eric Johnson.
Yeah, I want to say I'm definitely not the tournament MVP. I was telling my team, I did great in like peaking and having visually good performances in the last 2 games. But I definitely would say that it would be Ducky or Coleman for the tournament MVP. Probably Ducky. I need to advocate.
All right,
Wow.
well.
Advocate for my team.
That's really good to hear from the captain. Were there any moments throughout this tournament run where you really felt like your win-loss record would have been a little tarnished?
Yeah, I definitely think we ramped up. Like our first few games of group stage. Well, our first game, Vincent Cough, wasn't exactly close, but I think against Voidless they played us really close in the group stages, and we had some other close games. But yeah, best of 3s. We came into our own. We discovered the Udyr pick. It all came together. You guys like our Lucian flex?
Yeah, we're definitely
I was
complimenting the Lucian
astounded
flex.
that Tofu didn't take armor runes into that matchup.
Really? You didn't think it was gonna be Seraphine?
I thought it was really obvious that you were going to flex the Lucian
Well,
mid. And
we considered it, but we might not have done it. But then Twitch chat, and their ever longing wisdom, someone on our team was like, "Wait, so Twitch chat says we should flex it." And I'm like,
I'm
you know
pretty
what?
sure I was one of the biggest proponents of they should obviously swap the Seraphine mid and Lucian bot lane.
All right, somehow BZK trying to claim credit for my win here. Incredibly.
Truly amazing, the mental gymnastics that
the
this man is able to perform.
That
The
Lucian mid.
audacity of the brain. But yeah, and then last
honestly, Cole
game,
played the Seraphine bot lane pretty well.
Cole, another banger pick. Said he was like bronze 1 on the spreadsheet. Dude performed like a plat at least.
Maybe you should have him play some more Nico. He did pretty well on the champion.
He did not know anything about Nico. I'm pretty sure he wasn't even sure like the champion existed until Ducky fervently advocated for it.
What was
the memes.
What was the idea? It was for the memes. It was just a pure BM.
It was pure BM. He gave some anecdote about how he like coached a team in Europe and told them to play Nico for the first time, and they did. It went well. And
now he can say he helped coach a team or be a player in a team in America. First time Nico. And
maybe a little less prestigious, but
no, he just needs to start working with teams in China and Korea and advocating the same thing.
Yeah, calm, cool, and collected. I see you guys in chat. That's a good one. And perhaps the summation of the tournament, Jian Lu was in fact shorted, and we see his stock in the final game, running it down to Darius. Hits rock bottom, and the team
came out with a win. So do you not think he actually just
cashes out? Well, no, this is how shorting works. Don't we want him to go down?
Yeah. No,
You
Eric
wanna
has
go
it
down,
right.
but I'd argue
Good understanding of the financial
I
markets.
may be a philosophy major, but don't underestimate my Reddit facial knowledge of issues. Surface level
that's
knowledge.
good to hear, Eric. Alright. So Yumi
Ah.
won 3 winter lulls in a row. 3 Williams tournaments in a row if we exclude Summer Wall. Do you have any advice or tips for other potential captains that might be looking to take the throne?
Well,
Particularly
there's
to C-Max over here, who had a different
Whoa.
I
I
mean, Z-Max
drafted
has his
for
secondary objectives.
my own goals, and boy, did I complete them.
Yeah, which you can respect. But for someone actually trying to win, I definitely think helping people maximize their potential and like knowing their role, finding champs that work for them and at their own skill level, at their position that they're put in, is really important. Also, maintaining the balance of levity and seriousness. At the end, you saw we kind of flipped over to more for fun, but it's a game. It's important to have fun. So yeah, those are the two main things I would say. Helping people know their roles, and having a good time.
Do you think you're gonna adopt Ducky's strategy for any of your future teams of having people first time Nico in pivotal matches?
I was pretty opposed to the Nico. I wanted Jian to play Inting Scion, something he was like AD Scion. He was advocating for all tournament. But we decided we could only meme in one position, and he wanted to play the Nico.
I see.
Do you guys want to interview anyone else on my team?
So we already had a brief interview with Ducky when you guys won your semifinals match.
Mm-hmm.
I know Jian has been clamoring to join the interview desk. So do you think we should bring him on, Beegers?
Oh, sure. Let's get him in here.
You can get all 3.
All right, Jian's ready. All right, welcome to the cast, Jian.
How does it feel to be shorted for an entire tournament?
Dude, goddamn! I plummeted. My team was correct. By the end, we were at the bottom.
Well, I don't
know about we.
I was at the bottom. Congrats to Jake One. Beating me in lane as per usual.
Yeah, Vincent, do you have any advice for Jian in the Wukong Darius matchup? It appears Vincent might still be having some internet issues over here.
Let's get calm, cool, and collected in here.
Yeah, I think we should get Colin.
Get Colin.
And
yeah,
Jesse, the boys.
I think you should just get everyone from your team
We
in
need
there.
the boys.
Just have the winner.
Yeah. People from Eric's team, feel free to hop into any of the room 1 through 4 in the Winstall chat, and we'll drag you over to the broadcast channel.
Winners party.
Also, if you don't want to be on stream, you're not obligated to. But it looks like everyone's down. All right, welcome. Congratulations
Where's our
on
championship
the 2021 win.
Thank you. It was a team effort. We all played admirably.
Yeah, and I'm sure you all put out the same amount of effort and utility in that last game, especially.
Can you tell us about the Nico pick? Like how?
So
how
here's the idea. Here's the idea behind the Nico pick. All right, It's really simple, actually. So I was expecting that at some point people would have figured out that we're putting Cole on just Malzahar or Seraphine. And so I needed a champion that was very, very similar to one of those 2 champions, just like wave clears mid and like neutralizes any threat in team fights. So I was like, looking through the champion pool, and I was like, wait a minute, Ziggs exists, Xerath exists, but they're pretty unsafe. So I was like, what pick works really great? Nico. And it's pretty similar to Seraphine, right? Like the E's work very similarly. The Q has the same like arc, come down, land in like a little balloon, kind of similar stuff. So I just figured, I have faith in Cole. He's a cracked mid laner. He performed really well in the past games. So, give him the opportunity to really shine the last game, and he did. I mean, that game was really close until Cole just, I mean, he popped off. He landed some great ultis, great E's, great poke. I mean, he's
Yeah, and,
nuts.
and the reason that I was down is because sometimes I've faced Nico before, like just random matchmaking, but never have any idea what the abilities do because I was too lazy to look up the abilities, and I thought this was a great chance to learn the abilities.
Oh,
So
an
like
educational experience for you.
exactly, exactly.
Calm and collected in the
Calm, cool, and
finals.
collected, dude. He didn't have a single moment of
Ducky,
anxiety or fear.
Oh yeah.
Ducky, at what point did you realize that Cole didn't actually even own the champion?
When I asked him if he owned the champion.
I feel like that was part of the allure.
Yeah.
I want to be clear that this
Honestly, if if he owned Nico and had played it before, I would not have gone for it.
Yeah, so this is not like a purely tactical decision. Like definitely would have been best to just have him play Seraphine. Oh, I said that earlier, but seeing as Nico, maybe not. But could have just picked a tank support.
And to be completely honest, though, I do think that in that situation, not having a tank, dedicated tank in that team composition is really really good for us actually. So
Dude,
it was like
we had to face
it
check
was-
rushes so much. I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
we had a
I
lot
think
of
it made the game
actually. It
pretty
was-
hard.
I disappeared mid lane in like 1 second.
Yeah,
Face
you
check
did,
Baron.
you did get popped.
Every 30 seconds, you're like, wait, uh-oh, are they doing Baron, guys?
Yeah.
I,
Jian off in the side lane, accumulating a bounty, farming. We had
Is there anything you think SK Telecom's T1's team should have done that would have allowed them to get the win in that second game?
In terms of gameplay, I'm not certain. They had a really strong early game. They played it really well. It's just we managed to stall some fights just long enough to give us time to scale up, and that was really it. They drafted really well. I really liked the draft in both the first and second games. I think they were the best team at drafting against us. But
They
it was
didn't
just
quite do enough
they just-
research. They should have banned the Nico.
yeah, they should have known that
They looked at
I-
our owned, like the champions we owned, but they didn't look at the store. That was their problem.
yeah,
They didn't
that
look at
was
the
their big
champions we could
flaw.
acquire.
I think the biggest flaw in the draft first game is that they should have used all 5 bans on me instead of only 4.
Yeah.
Wow, Chad, the Alistar came out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a couple questions from the chat. Abraham Park asks, "What was your favorite or most memorable tournament moment from the tourney?"
Who wants to go first?
Does anyone have one?
What even
I
happened? I was
think
stuck on tanks all tournament.
I
No,
did
you
like
played Wukong for one game. Or for
Oh yeah, that
Oh,
game
wait, wait.
disappeared from my memory.
I have one. I
you played
think
two games.
our first game of semifinals today, we got a really good trade in the mid lane. Anivia's egg was popped and was unfortunately not killed. So I roamed from bot as Leona and flash ignited for the kill and walked out.
Yeah,
That was a great play by Jesse.
I was helping cast that game. We barely caught it because we thought Anivia was clear and out. And as soon as I moved the camera back to Anivia, I saw she was literally on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That was
think
a
I
really
would
good play.
either say the Lucian Flex against Kassadin, because I've memed so much about how I love playing Lucian mid against Kassadin, including Tofu. So it's nice. Or the 240 Soul Senna was, that felt pretty nice.
In the last two games, I definitely agree. I think one of my favorite moments for you, Eric, was when we were playing in the group stages against what was it, Snowy Summers team, and you like dashed into them and like killed Yumi with your ulti and like survived on like barely 1 HP. That was a really cool pop-up moment for you.
All right, let's not talk about that game. That game was a little bit unfortunate.
Vincent
It was a 2-27 kind of game. It's a little unfortunate.
For
I think
today,
I-
one of my favorite moments. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say that I think my favorite moment is when Abraham was finally eliminated because that's the real reason I joined this tournament, along with most of my friends. And so I would like to point out that he did not beat any of us in a game, I think. And so I just, we appreciated our primary objective, and that's why I felt comfortable going for the Nico and things like that because the real objective had been accomplished.
Yeah, Cole, would you like to make any comment to the rest of your friend group? A lot of them are in Twitch chat right now.
No thanks. They
Okay.
don't deserve it.
All right.
Oh my god.
I think my personal favorite moment for myself was in the second game against the Warwick when I was like going to my wolves and there was just like a huge clown fiesta about them trying to kill me. That was really a really funny moment, I think.
Oh no, I'm gonna have a pleasure editing that clip later for you.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
All the games of Udyr you played are gonna be really fun to make into a highlight clip.
Yeah, one great moment, a victory for democracy really, was when I was adamantly opposed to Ducky locking in Udyr, just because we had never practiced with it. He like hadn't played it much, and we could have had a better denial pick. And he was like, no, let's do it. And then me as a gracious captain allowed the glory of democracy to make the decision. Lo and behold, we won. Udyr won't be died.
Wait, so what were
Imagine doubting the first time Udyr and the first time Nico.
I'll admit it, I doubted it.
Wait, so Eric, what were like the big decisions that you made to help your team then?
Really put me on the spot here, Ben. Well, again, I was the one clicking the mouse in champ select, so like I could have done other things for sure. I think Orin Seraphine, my genius brain, said that was good.
Plead,
I don't know.
You should plead the fifth here.
I'll plead the fifth.
Okay.
We need Jian's favorite memory, right?
Yeah. And a question from Haswell, a little bit flamey, but he asks, Jian, how much did going 0-4 in 2020 fuel your desire to claim the throne?
I played absolutely no games of League before we started this, so yeah, it fueled me 100%. I was going at full force.
Weird flex, but okay.
Something like that.
You definitely needed some fuel to power the tank engine for that long.
Do you have a favorite memory, Jian?
Can we release the Singe? That would have been my favorite memory if I got to play Singe once.
Well,
once
you
it's
played
part-
Sage in a lot of scrims. I think that might have been the problem there.
I guess my attempt at no, there was one where I caught out an ADC somewhere. I don't remember. Like I ulted in. What was the game?
Wow, if this is the most memorable
Yeah,
moment
I don't
for
know.
Jian,
I don't even know.
clearly needs to see a doctor.
Honestly,
do you remember what champion you were playing?
It was Sion.
Yeah, there was a fight where Jian he just like ran into their team against I forgot who their EC was, maybe Senna.
It was MF. It was against Asian
MF,
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, when we like 3v5?
He just blew him up. It was a really nice
Yeah. Because I ended up getting in and then got a full charge Q off.
I remember that.
And then Brandon MF went all the way back to base, and then Udyr just whacked him.
Yeah, just ran him
Like he
down.
just ran him down. That was pretty funny.
I did apologize to MF for that one.
We got a very, very good question in the chat. Will Eric Johnson write another Williams record article stroking his ego?
Who's that question from?
Huh?
Abraham Park won.
Abraham Park.
Oh, the man accredited with the article. Yeah, we were given an opportunity to write an article for the record. I think they were like low on actual sports or something. But yeah, I ended up ghostwriting a little bit. Might have had threw in a little rhetorical flair, but
Yeah, who knows? Maybe this time we can get you published on the alumni Twitter as well. Yeah.
oh yeah, there was a line in that article that Abe wrote. He had a quote. Eric Johnson is always there about Jessup at the weirdest hours. Really freaking exposed me.
And maybe last question we could take from Lauren. Eric, do you think you're the best League player to ever come to Williams College?
I guess Coleman doesn't go to Williams, so definitely not. Maybe I'm the best Winterlull captain, to ever go to Williams College, but nah, there are a lot of good league players.
All right. So I think we can like start closing up the stream soon. Do we have any final remarks from the winning team over here? Anything you want to say? Last words you want to say to the audience while everyone's here?
Hello, fellow Williams students.
Well, Eric, we have to deny Eric the 4th win
Yeah, I
next
think
year.
4 years, 4 wins since I took a year off would be good. Some good parallelism.
If I'm on your team, I'll deny you the 4th win. I got you.
Yeah, I'm never drafting Jian again. I wrung one win out of him. That's all I'm gonna get.
You could name your team shorting Jianlu again, though.
I'm selling my stock. Selling my shares.
It'll be very interesting if the next team name you call Longing Jianglu goes.
I think that might mean some other thing.
Oh no.
Longing Jianglu.
Yeah, we're keeping this stream relatively PG. All right,
Yeah.
and with that, I think we're about done. Is there anything else we want to say from the other casters here?
Yeah, I think I just want to congratulate the winning team, and I definitely want to thank all the members who work on the cast, as well as all the organizer who basically helped us organize the event, as well as our sponsor. I think basically everyone did a fantastic job, both getting the technical side set up and make sure that there is basically not a lot of technical issue throughout the whole entire tournament, and with the stream. Definitely deserve a very, very big thank you. As well as I think I just want to say that BZK set up the whole entire stream by himself along with Welp Paul, and I think they're the tournament and the stream would not have happened without them. So definitely thank BZK and Paul for setting up the whole entire stream. I think that was very, very, very. Thank you so much for doing it.
Yeah, no props, fam. Paul, you can unmute
Applause.
yourself.
You guys will never
Figuring
hear
out
Paul.
how to unmute.
Okay,
The man
now
behind
people
the
should
screen.
be able to hear
I
me.
believe-
Yeah. I don't know. If
There's the
only I
microphone.
recorded the one recorded all of the games. BZK would have a
Yeah,
lot less effort, but I've done that. But this is being recorded right now. That's all I
Yeah,
can
that
say.
just means I have another 6 hours of video rendering to do.
No, correction 8.
Very
Yeah, I think also one other thing that definitely check out our montage video from Bambooey. I think that's going to be released in the next week or the next couple of weeks
I
or
think said
so.
it'd be done tomorrow.
Let's go ahead and say couple of weeks. Let's not put a 1 week timeline on this.
Yeah, definitely tune in for the stream then, and yeah.
Check out Droppod. I learned it was the CEO's Octet alum who I actually know, and he's a cool guy.
Yeah, he came on stream and rooted for you.
Let's go.
Yeah, definitely not scripted tournament, by the way, by Droppod.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had no
Also-
idea. I saw that. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, we'll be also be announcing an additional sponsor from the Williams College Octet group. They'll be performing perhaps at the next tournament.
Yeah, thanks, Eric.
Sing the national anthem.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay, all right. I think we can close up the stream now.
All right. Everyone, thanks for tuning in.